This is the Let's Get Inspired live vlog. This is episode 44, already on episode 44. It is the 12th of October 2025. It's a Sunday, of course, in the UK time, 10 in the morning, which is that's the usual time that I'll do the lives for at. Just a quick one, guys, just warming up now, just speaking a little bit, of course. What we're going to be speaking about today is why many neurodivergent people feel misunderstood and depressed. So I'll say it again. So it's all about why many neurodivergent people feel misunderstood and depressed. So I'm just going to put this into the chat to start with before people join. So what does neurodiversity mean? I'm just warming up a bit. I'll get into it soon. There we go. Okay, guys, just give me a moment. I am just warming up, just limbering up a little bit. I was meant to be on here. Basically, I was meant to be on here twice this week, but I've had a really busy week for various reasons. I've prioritised those other things, of course, because you've got to live your life. That's why I've not been on here as much as I usually am doing. I wanted to be on here more, but I couldn't do this week. But I'll have to reschedule. I'll have to structure my life a little bit differently going forwards. So let's get into it. I'm referring to my notes, of course, but of course this is a live. I'm adding my own perspective onto things in a live format as well. I do have a little bit of structure with regards to my notes to help me get through this topic. I'll explain it the best I can. Sander says, good morning, Sander. I'm really glad that you can join us today. I hope you're okay. I hope you're doing well. So I'm going to get into it just to begin with. So why many neurodivergent people feel misunderstood and depressed? So today I want to talk about something that doesn't get spoken about enough. The link between neurodiversity and depression. These people struggle to fit into society. I think we all do this a little bit sometimes as well. And referring to my notes again, of course, and I'll get into it a bit more. I know that a lot of people watching this might relate to being different, to feeling different. Maybe you've been told you think too much. Maybe you've been told that you feel too much, or that you don't just fit into the usual boxes that society sets on us. This could appeal to anybody, really, not just people who are in a neurodivergent box, let's say. This is not just for neurodivergent people as well, I don't think. I think some of these things apply to us as well, but I'll get into that a bit more. So we don't. These people don't always fit into the usual boxes. They're not society's boxes, but I'll get into that later. And sometimes that difference can come with a real emotional cost because they struggle to fit into society and what society expects of them. But their brains are wired differently. They think differently. Not worse, not better, but differently. This live isn't about labels or diagnosis, making diagnoses or anything like that. I'm not qualified to do that, by the way, because I'm not a qualified psychologist. I am not that. But I do have some understanding and I do have some perspectives, but I'm just sharing my honest opinions. But I'm not an expert, just to let you know. But it's also, but anyway, I'll keep going. But it's about understanding why so many neurodivergent people struggle with depression and what can help. Okay? So let me just refer to let's just go. I'm going to look at the comments, read through a few comments, and then I'm going to crack on with the topic, of course. So Sander says, obviously, good morning. Good morning again, Sander. Thank you. Sander's saying, I'm okay, Brad. Thanks. I hope you're well too. I'm okay. Thank you. I've had a busy week. I've been doing a bit of rehabilitation physically because I've pulled some muscles. Not a big deal, but it took up a lot of my time. But anyway, but overall, I'm good. Thank you. April says, hi, April. I hope that you're okay. My name's Brad, by the way, April. I hope that you're all right. Hello to Rohan. Rohan says, neurodiversity is an arbitrary means of diagnosing people as inferior. It can be, Rohan. I don't think they're inferior. I think they've got a lot of strengths as well. I'm assuming that you think that too. I'm just reading what you've wrote. That can happen, Rohan. I do agree. Some people do see them as inferior. They do, because they don't understand them. They're misunderstood, amongst other things. It can be, Rohan. I agree with some of what you're saying there. I get what you're saying. I think that can happen. I don't think that's always fair, though, in my opinion. I don't know what you think. If you can elaborate more, go for it, Rohan. April's asking me if are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay, April. I'm good. Life's good. Thank you. Sorry, my voice sounds a bit croaky this morning. Sander says hi to April. April then says hi to Sander B. April then says, sorry, I'm not good with spelling. You don't worry, April. You don't need to be good with spelling. Sander then says, Rohan, wow, why inferior? Yeah, elaborate. It's good to hear people's perspectives as well and insights. But obviously, all we've got here is the written word. So sometimes it might need to further understand where someone's coming from. Sometimes you need to add more words in there if you can, if you feel like it, of course. Sandra's saying, I'm okay, April. Good, thank you. April says, no problem. Said Rohan saying, because the industry that profits off neurodiversity can't do so off equals. What do you mean by that, Rohan? The industry that profits off them. How do they profit from them? That's interesting. I think that's interesting, potentially. Thanks for sharing, Rohan. I agree, Sandra. It's an interesting perspective. I like to hear other people's perspectives on here as well. That's what the channel's all about as well. It's not just me speak. Obviously, it's me speaking, of course, but it's you guys that are commenting. I don't know everything. You guys will know things that I don't know, of course. Or you'll have different perspectives. And I think as long as it's done respectfully and hopefully like thoughtfully, which is what Rohan's doing right now in a good way, let's say, I think we can all learn off each other sometimes. It's good. So Rohan saying neurodiversity has no real scientific method either. The research simply creates and canonizes traits while presupposing the mental disorder, labeling it as an objective condition. Let me just break that down. I don't think they understand it properly, no. They don't understand how the mind works and how everyone's brains are wired differently, how their thinking's different. I'm going to get into that in a moment, but thanks for sharing again, Rohan. April says, yeah, Brad, what does neurodiversity mean? I'm going to get into it in a moment. Actually, I'm going to crack on. I'm going to go back to the comments in a moment. So what is neurodiversity? Let's go through some of it. I'm going to share some perspectives on it. I'm referring to my notes to be open and honest, of course. And then I'm going to share some of my perspectives on what I think of it, some experiences that I've had with people that I've worked with that have these traits, have shown these traits. And I think we also have some of these traits in ourselves potentially as well. Anyway, let me get into it. So let's start with what is neurodiversity, of course. It's a term that covers different ways that our brains process information. People are wired up differently. Their thinking's different. Doesn't mean it's worse. It's just different. Things like ADHD, you've heard of it, attention deficit disorder, autism, which is a very broad spectrum, very, very broad. It's such a huge thing. I used to work with people with autism. So I've experienced so many different characters, different personalities, and how it presents itself with regards to autism. I've experienced a lot of people, but worked with a lot of people that would like that in the past. People have got dyslexia, dyspraxia, Tourette's. The list can go on and on. So let's give some examples. Okay. So some of these people are going to be feeling different or out of sync in social settings. They're going to feel different, aren't they? Let me just have a sip of water one moment. Sorry. Because of how society is run, isn't it? How They just they don't feel like they fit in. They try to fit in, but they struggle to because they're white. They see things differently that normal society would do, let's say. They can experience sensory overload, like too much noise. They can be hypersensitive to noise. Like it really annoys them. It's really loud, and it might bother us a little bit. And let's say, quote unquote, don't say a normal person. The average person, let's say, might be a little bit annoyed by a little bit of noise or a bit of loud noise, but they'll be hypersensitive to those things. So it'll really annoy them. It'll really grind on them. For example, or too much light or too much stimulation, it can be overbearing for them. They can't stay in a busy environment for too long. I have those things. If I'm around loads of people for too long, I get annoyed. I need to get out. I need my own time. I need to do my own thing. I'm trying to empathize with that type of thing. Anyway, moving on. Needing recovery time. Social battery after interactions. Again, that's more of an introvert type of thing. I need that sometimes as well. Around people for too long, they annoy me. They annoy me. Even if they're good people, they annoy me. I might annoy them, who knows? But I get that. Anyway, moving on. Thinking, I'll go to the comments in a moment, guys. Sorry, I'm just going to get through this. So thinking in patterns, images, or unique logic systems. So they have a different way of looking at things. They look at things, people with autism sometimes, I've worked with some of them, people that have shown traits of autism, they're high functioning, and they're so fucking smart, unbelievably smart, like an encyclopedia smart, way smarter than me. And they're so detail orientated, and they can remember things so fucking well. It's like, oh my God, how do you know all that? And they're just speaking it naturally, really easily. And it's like, oh my God, you're so smart. But then I'm just thinking about a person I used to work with. He was so smart. He was fucking smart, trust me, another level. But I work in theatres, I work in the hospitals, and you get him in the theatre and he'd just crumble. He couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle the environment. He couldn't handle the stress of the environment because there's a lot going on, and he had to leave. He had to leave the theatre environment, even though he was the smartest, probably one of the smartest people in the room, smarter than the surgeon, definitely smarter than me, for God's sake. So he was in the wrong environment. I'll go into that later on anyway. Some of these people as well, moving on, they have strong empathy, creativity, or innovative problem solving. They look at things intricate. Some people with ADHD, they can be very creative potentially. People who've got autism, so detail orientated, they break it down. They look at the very minute details that an average person would not do. Anyway, I'm going to go back to, these are some examples, by the way, that I've just given. I'm going to go back to the notes because you guys are sharing some very interesting perspectives. Sorry to go away from the comments there. So Midnight Hunter, hello Midnight Hunter. Sorry, it took me a while to get to your comment. I just need to go through that little bit there. I hope I've explained things as best as I can there. So neurodiversity is the concept that human brains naturally vary. Yes, variety, of course, in how they function, learn and behave. Yeah, we all learn differently. We all, yeah, exactly. Especially with people who have traits of neurodiversity, like ADHD, for example, of course, what I've already said. Midnight Hunter then says, neurodiversity is the concept that human brains, oh, you've already said that. Sorry, you've put it twice. Sorry, I'm reading it twice. Very well said, Midnight Hunter. Thank you. Zaki, Sanders retracted a message. Thank you, Sandra, for retracting any disrespectful troll-like behaviour. Thank you. Doing a great job. I appreciate that. Anyway, Zaki, is it? Sorry. Hi, I'm from Indonesia. Hi, Zaki from Indonesia. I hope that you're okay. Good of you to join us. Sanders saying, Midnight Hunter, but we're all different. That's for sure. Absolutely. We all are. Some of these things we'll have as well. Maybe lesser so than someone who's got autism, but we'll have I think human beings, we're all different. We're all a little bit weird, and that's okay. We're not all the bloody same. And sometimes it's difficult to fit into society sometimes with what society expects us to be. And that can lead people to get feeling depressed because they don't fit in and they feel like they're misunderstood. And I'm just trying to understand that a little. This conversation, hopefully, it helps some people understand it a little better. Maybe helps people to feel like they're understood, at least heard a little bit. But I'll keep going on. So Sandra says hi to Zaki. I hope I'm saying that right. April then says, oh, thank you for telling me what neurodiversity means, Midnight Hunter. Yep, Midnight Hunter explained it very well. Absolutely, April. Sandra's asking, how's life in Indonesia? Good question. Zaki says yes. Midnight Hunter says yeah. And April says, oh, okay, thank you, Brad. No worries, April. I'm explaining it the best I can. I don't know everything, April. Or guys, I don't know everything. I really, really don't about neurodiversity. I think, in my opinion, the best person to would be to know about it was someone that's truly gone through the trenches. Like, imagine speaking to someone who's got Asperger's syndrome. So they've got autism, Asperger's syndrome, but they're very high functioning and they've struggled through their lives. That probably would be probably be an expert on this. But I'm not an expert. I'm being open and honest here. I don't want to pretend I'm something I'm not. That's what I'm trying to say. But I do have some experiences. I do have some knowledge. I'm just being open and honest, of course. Anyway, I'll carry on. Rohan says there is no justification that will be accepted without first. I can't even say that, Rohan. I'm struggling to say this. Misunderstanding, a diagnosis. Sorry, I can't say that word, Rohan. Forgive me. Yeah, indeed, a true professional with a lot of and go through a lot of tests to truly diagnose someone with this. I believe a lot of people are misdiagnosed as well. That's another topic in itself. Some people are just the signs, or they just go through life without being diagnosed. They're not aware of it. But I'm going to get into that later on as well. Good point again, Rohan. Zaki says hi to Sander. Sander's smiling. April says, oh, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You all like the video. Oh, thank you. I don't know what you mean by it's a good thing or a bad thing. Sorry, April, I've lost my train of thought there. I'm trying to catch up with the comments. Rohan saying, I coined the mock classification, Autism pseudo-sentience. In fact, having been the target myself of an autism diagnosis and the treatment perpetrated for it. Wow, how did that go, Rohan? And how did that feel, Rohan? What was that experience like? Thank you for sharing, by the way. Rohan, April says, Rohan, you have a big point. You have a big point. I agree, April. Absolutely. Rohan says, did I say it had no scientific method? I meant it had no merit. Had no merit. It wasn't warranted. Is what I'm interpreting what you're saying there. Sandy's saying, Rohan, have you been diagnosed as autistic? Good question. Thanks for sharing, guys. I really appreciate it. April says, oh, okay. It's good as well. It's good to try, and I like to try and understand people's perspectives as well. I think it's good to be open-minded, try and understand people. I think that's a good way to be. I think we need more of this in the world. That can be done through communication, through active listening, etc. Anyway, Rohan says, I guess that means you think I am an auspicious pseudo-sentience myself. I'm assuming, yes, Rohan. Let's be honest. I've assumed that you, through the dialogue that you've been communicating so far, just before you've just said this sentence here that I've just read out, I was beginning to assume that. Yes, if I'm honest. If I'm wrong, please correct me. That's fine. If I misinterpret anything anyone says, then please just don't feel bad. Correct. If you feel like I'm misinterpreting what you're saying, please correct me. I only have the written word here, of course, and the limited amount of words to understand these things. Anyway, April saying, "Oh, well, I'm not autistic, but I have ADHD." How's How has that been for you, April? Is the question. There's strengths and weaknesses to these things as well. I'm going to go back to the comments. So let me carry on a little bit, and then I'll go back to the comments because I need to keep going, of course. So being neurodiverse doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. Sometimes it might feel like you are because you're not fitting in to what society expects. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's not bad. It's just different. I think there's a lot of strengths potentially to these things as well. You have strengths that other people don't have. We all have gifts. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses, of course. And it's just understanding those things. Sometimes it's difficult. It just means that your brain runs on a slightly different operating system. It's just different. It's just different. The problem is most of society is built for neurotypical people, people whose brains work in the expected way, in the, let's say, average way. We'll go with average. It's built in a certain way, isn't it? The world depends what country you're from as well. I'm sure it's different in each country. I think there's better understanding of it than there was, definitely, coming from an English perspective. But I think a lot of the world won't. I don't think it's completely understood. It's not completely understood, let's be honest. But it's better than it was in England. I don't know about the rest of the world. I can't speak for that. So when you grow up, I'm going back to my notes, guys, sorry. When you grow up in a world that doesn't fit how your mind works, you can start to feel out of place, overwhelmed, or even like you're failing, like you don't fit in, like you're not good enough. That can make you feel shit. Sorry to swear, can make you feel shit, can make you feel bad. Or even like it can make you feel like you're failing in life, basically. But when in reality, you're just different. And it's just recognizing that and understanding that. So I'll go back to the comments again. You're making some very good points, guys. Thank you for sharing your perspectives. I really appreciate it. And what you're writing here, but I'm reading out what you're writing here. This could help other people as well. This is what my show's all about. It could help other people as well. It's not just me, it's you guys as well that are included in this process. It's a collective consciousness, this. It is. So Sandra says, I don't know much about neurodiversity, but I do know that people who have it are definitely wired differently. I agree, Sandra, and struggle functioning within the society. Saying that I'm an empath and I struggle. Yes, someone who's empathic, let's say, who has empathy for others. You're sensitive. Sometimes, I've said this before, you say, oh, you're sensitive, you're too sensitive. I think that's a sign of emotional intelligence. Sensitivity, emotional sensitivity, is a sign of emotional intelligence. But there's a cost with that as well. Every strength has a weakness, I suppose. And that could fit into that neurodiversity type of struggles. But you can, if you've got empathy, I think you can understand those struggles as well. You can understand their struggles. It's not specifically the same, but there's some feelings like yourself. Like if you're sensitive and you're around loads of angry people, it's not gonna make you feel good. You're gonna absorb some of their negative energy potentially, and then people are gonna say you're too sensitive. You're too sensitive. What's wrong with you? That's what society can do to emphatic people, can't it? How do I know? Because I've experienced it myself. Yes, I've been called sensitive a lot in my life. But that's my emotional intelligence. I've got a very high emotional intelligence. Definitely, I have. And that's one of my strengths. But there's a cost. Anyway. April saying, whoever likes is a legend. Thank you. Thank you, April. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's very kind. I'll pin that message. Thank you. I've just pinned that one. Thanks, April. Sandra said, Rohan, yes, you're tight that you are. Okay. Miscommunication to an extent, potentially. Sandra's asking a good question. April, how does ADHD present for you? So April saying it presents me as quite a bit needy and fidgety. Can't stay still, always on the go. I think people with ADHD sometimes can be very creative people, though. They've got a lot of ideas. Yeah, I think that's one of the strengths, potentially. Rohan says, you therefore think I have no qualia, no consciousness, and therefore I'm autistic with no person in case within my shell. I do not think that, Rohan, that you don't have consciousness. No, I think you do have consciousness. I think you're very intelligent by the sounds of it. I think you do have a very deep thinking person by the dialogue that you've been expressing. I think you're a very deep person, very intellectual person, very specific person, very clever. That's what I think. Do you have a consciousness? Oh my God, absolutely. Why would I think you don't have a consciousness? No, I don't think that. I hope I'm interpreting you correctly, though. Let's keep going. So anyway, April saying that's quite interesting, Rohan. April saying ha 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 from Sander. April saying hello, people, new people who have just joined the stream. Yeah, hello to everyone who's just joined. My name's Brad, by the way. Sorry, this is the Inspirational Ambivert channel. Thank you to anyone that's liked and subscribed. Thank you. I'm going to keep going anyway. I talk about a variety of topics. A lot of it's to do with self-improvement, working on yourself, understanding different types, psychology. I like to talk about a variety of things. They say do a niche, like just niche down, they say. Just have one topic. I think I don't just want to talk about one thing all the time because I think it can get a bit boring, can't it, potentially? I like to talk about a variety of things. I just do. I think it's interesting. Anyway. Instead of saying April, what the F? Don't know what that means, what that is in relation to. So Rohan saying, no worries, it means to take a vital part of something. Ah, okay, thanks, Rohan. April saying, don't ask Sander. April says hi. Rohan saying, I still have struggles with recognizing that I'm not being watched at every moment. What do you mean by that, Rohan? April saying, hey, it's okay, we all have our struggles. Yeah, we do. Absolutely, April. We do all have our struggles. Life is difficult. It's challenging. It's complex. There's ups and there's downs. It's not easy. The school of life is not fucking easy. There's a lot of growth that can be had through the suffering, of course, if you've got enough resilience, etc., to go with that. It's not easy, but we all have different struggles. I absolutely agree, and it's fine making sense of those struggles, isn't it? I suppose this is again what this channel's all about as well. Yes, of course. Anyway, so don't worry because April says so. Don't worry because I have a lot of struggles with my ADHD. I'm sorry that you do. I'm sorry that you do, April. Sandra's saying I worked with a guy who was neurodivergent. He was very intelligent and a walking encyclopedia. I've met people like that as well, Sandra. I really have. A very interesting person, by the sounds of it as well. But he wouldn't do his job. LOL. He'd stand around and converse and instead watch the news on the computer. He's in the wrong room, Sander. He's probably really, really smart. Maybe good in IT or something. I don't know. But if you could put us in a certain environment and we'll do so badly. If you put me in a certain environment, I won't thrive because I'm in the wrong fucking room. And if you're in the wrong room, no one's going to appreciate you. They're not going to look at your skills or anything. You're just not going to do well in some environments. I think that could be applied to any person. If you're in the wrong room, in the wrong environment, it ain't going to work out. Even like Sanders just said, this person, let's say, is like a walking fucking encyclopedia, super, super smart, intellectually, let's say. Maybe not so good socially. We're talking about an autistic person, aren't we? Basically, generally. But they'd be better with a detail-orientated job, maybe working on their own, working on something that most people would find boring, working with numbers, working with like spreadsheets or whatever it is. If you get them on that and they're passionate about it, they'll go above and beyond. They'll move mountains. They'll be geniuses potentially on certain things. But if you put them in the wrong environment, it's loads of busy, stressful environment, loads of people walking around, people are a bit rude. You know what I mean? It's chaos. They're not going to do well in a chaotic environment. They'll do well in a quiet environment, focusing on one singular thing, but they'll be so good at it. That's the ideal of where this conversation will go, wouldn't it? It's finding a place for these neuro. It's not trying to change a neurodivergent person. You can't change them. They are who they are. They're not bad. They're not broken. They might not fit perfectly into society. People might find them a bit strange because they don't understand them, but they're very, very, they could be very useful in other areas. And ideally, that's what more of this would be happening, ideally, in society. Sandra's saying, anyway, I'll move on. Thanks for sharing that, Sandra. That's very good. Sandra's saying, April, you're a wise one. I agree. April says, really? Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. So are you, she says. Sorry, getting the words out wrong. April says, oh, thank you. And so are you, Sandra. That's lovely. I'll keep going with the comments for a while. One moment. And then I'll crack on with the topic a little bit. Sandra says, April, yeah, we are really frustrated as he'd be more of a nuisance rather than a help. You're not about the person that you're talking about. Yeah, that's where it can go wrong. That person's in the wrong environment. You're working with somebody that's neurodivergent. They're not a bad person. They're really smart, but you've got loads of work to do. This person's not going to help you. They're just going to stand there looking at the computer, talking really intellectually. It's like, if you're in a work environment with somebody like that, like there's loads of fucking work to do and you're just stood there at the computer, I can see why people get frustrated in that situation. I'm not trying to be horrible to that person. Let's say the person who's autistic, let's give an example. But people are going to get frustrated with them and they're going to take out those frustrations on that person because that person's not pulling their weight in that work environment. They're not productive. But doesn't mean that person's a bad person. It means that they're in the wrong room. They need to be somewhere else, ideally. But that's not always possible, is it? With regards to work, it depends on the opportunities. But anyway. So I'm saying thanks to April. Keep going. Rohan saying, I'm afraid the scientific merits of neurodiversity and the neurotypical ideal all but evaporated when I converse with artificial intelligence to cross-examine relevant research papers. AI is so smart, Rohan. Oh my God. It's like basically PhD level in everything. Wow. It's like Einstein level in everything and beyond, for example. Yeah, the ideal, is it possible? Hi to Zuki. Good morning, Zuki. Good to have you with us. Thank you for the idea, by the way, Zuki. I followed through on it. Of course, I'm going with the topic that you suggested. So thank you. Good morning to you. I hope you're okay, Zuki. I'm explaining it the best I can. Anyway, Sandra says, good morning, Zuki. How are you? April says hi to Zuki. Zuki saying a bit tired myself. I'm feeling that too, if I'm honest. But I'm keeping going. But it was glad to see the topic on today. Yes. I think it's a really interesting topic. Very thought-provoking topic, potentially. It's quite broad, really, isn't it? Zuki saying, hope you're well as well, Sandra. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go back to the comments soon. Let's talk about the emotional toll that this can have, okay? Let me just put this, I'm just going to type something in. The emotional toll for people I hope I'm spelling this right. I put a question mark there as well. One moment. So let's go with that. It's not. I'll try again. Sorry, guys. The emotional toll for people that are neurodiverse. I'm typing this again. It's taking me a while. I apologise. Oh, it's not doing it. Oh, God, sorry, guys. It's very vague, that. Sorry, guys. I tried to type in more there. The challenge is for someone who's got neurodiversity, the emotional toll, basically. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So, the emotional toll, masking and misunderstanding. I'm going to talk a little bit, then I'm going to go back to the comments. So one of the biggest, one moment, let me have a sip of coffee. So I'm referring to my notes, of course. One of the biggest reasons neurodivergent people experience depression, to feel down, of course, is masking. They're pretending to be more normal and to fit in. They're not able to be their true selves in situations. I think that can happen to a lot of people, not just neurodivergent people, definitely. So let's think about that. So constantly having to act a certain way at school, at work, even with friends, even with family. So people don't think that you're weird. So you're not being your true self. You're just trying to fit in, just to appease the masses, let's say. You're not. So you'd be too quiet, too intense, or too distracted. You're not really being your true self in that situation, potentially, just to fit into society. So over time, that can be exhausting. It's going to be exhausting. If you're not being your true self, it's going to get tiring, isn't it? It's not going to feel good. It's not going to feel right. Something's going to feel off. And it can be like the death of 1,000 cuts, potentially. Have I experienced this? Yes, I have. Fucking right, I have. It's probably going to happen. It's probably going to happen a lot of times in my life where you've got to fit in into a certain situation. For example, you've got a lot to say. You've got a lot of perspectives. You're a deep thinking person. I like to think I'm a deep thinking person. I like to talk about a variety of topics. I think it's really interesting to be open-minded and talk about intellectual things. I really, really enjoy it. But can I do this all the time within my demographic, within the social groups that I'm in sometimes, within family dynamics? Can I be my 100% true self? Not always, because it just doesn't fit into the way they are. They're not going to. Oh, sorry, I've got coffee in my mouth. It doesn't always fit in properly. It's difficult. So it's like living with a filler on your personality 24/7. That can't be good if it's all the time. And when people still don't get you, when they misunderstand your intentions or they mock your differences, it can eat away at your confidence. Of course it can. You weirdo, what are you talking about that for? Why are you looking at that, judging you, putting you down for you being yourself? Obviously, in that situation, you're going to be in the wrong room, of course. And that can lead people to start to believe that they're the problem. Like there's something wrong with them. These neurodivergent people, for instance, like, there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. Therefore, you're going to start feeling depressed, potentially, when really they're just reacting to an environment that doesn't see you properly. No one sees them properly. No one understands them. Being misunderstood. What does being misunderstood mean a lot of the time? Being underestimated as well. Has anyone here been misunderstood? Fucking hell, loads of times. Loads of times. They don't get it. People who only can match you on their level of perspective, can't they? They can only match you on this certain level of understanding. And anything above that or different to that, they just don't get it. They just think it's weird. Therefore, they'll start labeling you, etc., etc. Anyway, let me go back to the comments, guys. Sorry, I just had a little speaking a little bit there. Sander says, Zuki, yeah, I'm tired too, lol, but lovely to see you here. I agree, Sander. Noel says, Mama Mo. Hello, Noel. Mama Mo. Okay, cool. Zuki shows love. Sander's saying it's an interesting topic, Zuki. I agree. April says, hi, you guys. How are y'all? April, where are you from? Where are you from, April? And Rohan, where are you from? Just a quick question. You don't have to answer, of course. Rohan said, I bet that if I mention a name such as Sander, April or Brad, I could be clearer as to whom I'm addressing. Yeah, probably could be, Rohan. Suki says, for sure, one I can connect with for sure. Absolutely. April says, ha ha ha, Rohan. Yeah, that's true, Rohan. Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's that helps, Rohan. Absolutely. So, well, Brad, regarding my feeling of being watched at all times. Okay, thanks for explaining, Rohan. That was the case when I was just an ignorant head of the autism industry's livestock, the cattle, basically. I'm trying to understand, Rohan. Sorry, I'm doing my best, mate. Well, Brad, regarding my feeling of being watched at all times, that was the case when I was just an ignorant head. It was just an ignorant head of the autism industry's livestock. I need more. Sorry, Rohan, I still need more there. I'm trying to understand that the best I can. April said, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. The more you talk about it, the more you can feel better about it. April, absolutely. I think it helps, absolutely. Problem shared is a problem halved, basically. So April saying, I really hope that you overcome what you want to and hope you're doing okay. That's very kind of you to say, April. Santa saying, I don't function in chaos, Brad. Yeah, I get it. In chaos. I can function in chaos for a while. When things get really hard at the hospital, for instance, I kick into another gear. When things get shit, I can step in. When things get difficult and stressful, I can step in. I'm just giving my own example of the chaos. But it's very tiring. It's very, very tiring. And you start to run on adrenaline. But you can only be there for so long because you're gonna sorry, get the words out 1 second, have a sip of coffee. Your energy is going to drop at some point. Zuki saying, Rohan, I would like to understand what you're referring to with the term industry or autism industry. Yes, I would too, Zuki. I don't understand completely. I'm trying to understand that as well, the best I can. Forgive my ignorance, by the way, Rohan. I don't mean to be ignorant or anything. I'm trying to understand the best I can. April saying, I don't function in loud noises and big crowds and a few more. Yeah, I get that, April. It's draining, isn't it? I suppose if you're, what's it called? An extrovert, they would love that. They love the loud noises, potentially. They love the big crowds. An extrovert would. But if you're more introverted, then it gets very tiring very quickly. Zuki says, in this context. April's asking Zuki if she's okay. Zuki says, April Miles, I can relate. I have a few sensory sensitivities myself. Oh, interesting. Well, how do they present themselves, Zuki? God, I hate, do what I hate? Oh my God. We have, at work, we have a staff room. Everyone's cooking the food in this staff room. There's no windows. There's no windows. It's closed. The air is bad in there. There's no ventilation. There's just a door. It's closed some of the time. There's loads of people in there. People cook all the fucking food in the microwave. So you've got loads of different food going in the microwaves. So it bloody smells and it makes my skin crawl. It really, really deeply. I fucking hate it. And I can't even be in that room for long. I'm sensitive to it. It's horrible. It absolutely makes me feel sick being in there. Therefore, I'm sensitive to it. I'm trying to show a bit of understanding towards how it must feel. And it just repulses me. I can't be in that room for long at all. Anyway. So you can say, April, thank you for asking. Hope you're well yourself. April says hi. Sandra says, April, I generally avoid most of the time when I can. So Zuki says she appreciates the topic. Thank you. No worries. No, I appreciate the. Thank you for the idea, Zuki. You're the one that gave us the idea for this. So thank you. Sandra's saying she's enjoying the topic too. April says, "Oh, Zuki, are you willing to share your own little functional moments?" April says, "Oh, Sandra, thank you for sharing." Powerpuff Princess, how are you, Powerpuff Princess? Hope you're okay. You have no idea. You've no idea. No worries. It's all good. I hope that you're okay, by the way. Good for you to join us again. April says you really don't have to. April says hi to Powerpuff Princess, as does Sandra. She says hi too. Zuki says April miles functional, as in some of the benefits, aka positive parts of my experiences with neurodiversity. Powerful Princess says hello to everyone. Hello again, of course. April says, yes, Zuki. Hey, sorry, I'm going through it. Sandra sends a smile. April says, Sandra, that is with that face. One moment, I'm going to have a sip of coffee, guys. We'll keep going. Zuki's saying, well, I think it has allowed me to spot small details where others may miss them, detail-orientated, which has been helpful for problem solving, especially when I used to have an active interest in IT. Absolutely. You're looking at the minute things that most people won't want to look at. Most people would potentially find those things potentially like not interesting. You won't be interested in it. But someone who is neurodiverse that would have, let's say, maybe some traits of autism would just go really deep into it. And they can do so much good there, so much good that the average, let's say, average person wouldn't be able to do or wouldn't be interested in doing. And if you recognize your strengths, if you have traits of neurodiversity, for example, or not even neurodiversity, it could be you find what you're good at, what you're strong at, what you're interested in, what you're passionate about. You just go for that, man. Go for that, and that'll help you in a lot of ways, potentially. Anyway, alleviate the depression potentially if you find what you're passionate about. You're very lucky if you do, and if you can make money on that as well, that's amazing. Sandra said, April, I'm just being silly and spreading some love. Oh, that's beautiful. Thanks, Sandra. We need more of that in the world, so thank you. April says, LOL, I love that about you, Sandra. Sandra then says, Zuki, sounds like you've used your superpowers in the correct way. Yeah, that's your superpower. That's your superpower. Some of these strengths come with weaknesses, of course. Let's give an example. One of my strengths is I'm really hard on myself. I'm fucking hard on myself, trust me. I beat myself up if I don't do things. I set myself high targets all the time. That's the way I am. I'll always be like that. And that has helped me get to where I am in life. It's helped me to come away from taking drugs. It's helped me to become a nurse, working in the theatre. To me, that's massive success. It's helped me to go to university to complete that thing. It's helped me to achieve so many other things as well. To keep myself physically fit, to keep myself active, to keep myself smart. I read a lot of books. I'm fucking on it. But that's all driven. A lot of that is driven by my being so hard on myself. And if I don't do certain things, I beat myself up. That is one of my massive strengths. However, there's a weakness to it. Trust me, there's a weakness to it. I beat myself up. I beat myself up really badly. I'm really hard on myself. And that can, so my strengths. Therefore, what I'm trying to say is your strengths can also be your weaknesses as well. I'm going on one there, but there you go. think you're being hard on yourself. Sometimes it can give you a kick up the arse, but don't be too hard on yourself. I'm trying to tell myself that. April saying, Zuki, that's really, really wise. Yes, I agree. Absolutely. Sandra says, thanks to April. April says, hey, just saying facts about everyone. You're all wise and you're all unique in some way. Thank you, April. That's very kind of you. Sandra's asking, where's Dawn, Yorick and Maggot? I don't know, Sandra. They're not with us today. I suppose people have lives to live, of course. I don't know where they are today. I hope they're all doing okay, though. April says, LOL. Zuki then says, and if I can plan and organise tasks correctly, I can switch tasks and get work done very quickly. Downside being like this, it's hard to line up for this, and to be extreme, I can lose. One moment, let me interpret that. So if you've got a plan structure, if everything's structured, Zuki, you've got everything, all your ducks in a line, you're just hitting each target as they go, for instance, it's good. You're getting it done. But the downside being, is it hard to line it up for this, and to be an extreme, I can lose the one moment, bigger picture. Yeah, because you're zeroing in on that specific thing. But other factors could be coming in, things could be changing, and you're not aware of those changes. You're not aware of the bigger picture always, because you're so dedicated to specific tasks. Yes. You can't have it all, though, I suppose. Maybe you can. I don't think you can have it all. Maybe you can, I don't know. But there's always a cost. A benefit and cost, whatever. So Sandra says, April, very true. We are all special and unique in our own way. Yes, we are. We're all complex. And you change and develop as time goes on, especially if you're working on yourself. Definitely. April saying, I hope you can control that kind of stuff. April saying, yes, I think everyone can agree, Sandra. April then says, when ADHD or autism accrues, it can be a lot harder for people of how the levels are on that ADHD or autism accrues, sorry. And then Zuki says, on a connected note to the topic, it's known that neurodiversity people receive much more criticism, let's say, and that adversity can lead to an increased resilience, provided that you have the tools for support alongside it. That's a really good one, Zuki. Wow. Very well said. Very, very well said. So you can get more criticism because of the way they are, because they don't fit into that, let's say, average social model, let's say. But if you conquer the adversity, if you get through all the shit, through all the criticism, through all the being misunderstood, you find your niche, you find what you're good at, you find what you're passionate about, you show excellence in a certain topic, let's say, or a specific task that you're so good at, that's going to help build your resilience. It's going to help build your confidence. And some people are going to recognize that and see that, hopefully. That's going to help with resilience as well, of course. That's the ideal, Zuki. Getting to that point. April saying, I was just saying that, of course. Rohan then says, I'm from Australia. Oh, cool. People think that I'm from Britain, though, even back home. Whereabouts in Australia, Rohan? And how is life in Australia, is the question. April saying, you're from the UK in England. Okay, cool. Sorry, it took me a while to get back to your comments. Yeah, I'm from England as well. I live about 30 miles away from Manchester, April. Zuki says, oh, yes, I am frequently misunderstood. Same here, Zuki, by the way. I feel like I spend the majority of my time outside the box. Yeah, my ways of thinking, of doing things, don't make sense sometimes to others, but it does for you. And I hope that I'm assuming that you're content with that. That's a good thing. You're in a good place by the sounds of it, Zuki, with regards to that. I I'm a bit strange, I suppose. What do? I work in the theatre, right? Everyone sits in the staff rooms. Like I've just said, I don't always like being there when there's too many people because I'm already around the stressful, chaotic. I'm in chaos. I'm in theatre. It can be fucking chaotic. Not always, but there's a lot going on. You're busy. You're around people. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of things changing, developing. It can be stressful. What do? I don't go to the staff room because loads of people are talking shit, whatever they're talking about, doesn't matter. I just sit, I leave the theatre and I sit on a chair outside on my own, just to be different. And people think I'm weird. Some people probably think I'm strange for that, but I just need time away. And that works for me and I'm okay with that. Anyway, Sandra says, Zuki, all my life I've been criticised for the way I am. I've been told I need to change who I am since I was a young age. People have taken my kindness and sensitivity for a weakness all my life. Fucking hell. Sorry, Sandra, to hear that. That's what people do. They take kindness for a weakness and sensitivity for a weakness. They don't understand it. They don't get it. That can come through lack of education, ignorance, being too close-minded, amongst other things. And when you're young as well, you're gonna suffer more when you're young with this because you don't understand yourself. It's as you get older, you start to learn more that you can break away from those restraints, let's say. Thanks for sharing that, by the way. Anyway, April then says, wow, that's cool, Rohan. Tricky thinks of it like organised chaos. That's mastering the chaos, isn't it? Absolutely. I'll have a sip of coffee one moment. April then says, Zuki, I really hope you're okay. April, you sound like a very lovely person, by the way. Very nice, thank you. Anyway, sorry, I'll go on. Yeah, Sandra's asking how's life in Australia, Rohan. Sorry, I'm catching up with the comments. I'm doing the best I can, guys. Sorry if I'm a little bit slow with it. That's just how this thing goes, how this thing rolls. April then says, oh my God, Sandra, are you okay? Are you really okay? Zuki says, I'm sorry, I feel that too. I've been taken advantage for my kindness too. Yes, fucking right, Zuki and everyone else. Yep, same here. Sandra then says, Zuki, I know how that feels, but we've learned to fight back and be better with it, haven't we? Yes. Yeah, it's learning to, I don't know, maybe like integrate your shadow self. You've got to stand up for yourself in this world as well. You've got to be, I believe you've got to be a bit tough sometimes as well. You can't be kind. It's good to be kind. It's so strength. It's good to be sensitive, have emotional intelligence, fucking strength all the way. But I think you've also got to protect yourself. You've got to have the ability to switch things, to turn things on its head if you need to. If someone's attacking your peace of mind, they're attacking your kindness, they're taking the piss out of you, basically, you need to put boundaries in place and not feel bad about it. Because if you don't, you'll get walked all over. It sounds very harsh, that, doesn't it? But that's my perspective on that. Anyway, Sandra says, Zuki, sorry, I'm getting the words out in a moment. Let me just have a sip of coffee. Sandra then says, I know how that feels, but we've learned to fight back and be better with it, haven't we? Absolutely, Sandra. April says, Zuki, it's your kindness that makes me feel happy. That's very nice of you to say. Rohan then says, I hadn't always known I was treated like an inferior being until I observed my peers not even being escorted by support at all times or having to take meds. Yeah, you've noticed the difference. Oh, God, Rohan, that must be difficult. You're noticing the difference. Doesn't mean you're inferior, by the way. I'm sure you know. I hope that you know that. But you're aware of the fact that you're being supported and you're having to take meds and they're not doing. That can make you feel isolated and different to the rest of society, let's say. That could be very, very difficult. Absolutely. I can imagine. I can only imagine that, Rohan. But that's not easy at all. Thank you for sharing. I hope that you're okay, by the way. April then says, yes, I feel like we all have that because I have ADHD and you guys have your struggles or problems. We all do, yes, in different ways, April. Sandra's saying, Rohan, I do believe that people are definitely over-medicated. A lot, sometimes no, but a lot of the time, yes, I'd agree. For literally everything. The big pharma never sleeps. Fucking hell, Sandra, you hit the nail on hitting a home run with that. There's a pill for everything, isn't there? And sometimes medications can be very helpful. Of course, they fucking can. But just to take a pill just to solve everything, sertraline or whatever it is, I'm not saying it's all bad. But without doing the inner work, without looking at your insecurities, without being self-aware, without doing the real work, these medications can numb you. Oh, just take a pill, everything's fine. All I have to do is eat it. All I have to do is take these pills in the morning, in the afternoon, and I'm good. And sometimes that helps people, don't get me wrong, but I think it can be people overall, collectively can be over-medicated, be kept numb. The big pharma companies love that because they're cashing in on all the customers that they have. And what's the best thing? What do they prefer? What does big pharma prefer? They prefer people to not be well. Why? Because if they're not well, they need treatment, and therefore they need medications. So they can cash in on those things. And I think a lot of people just take the medications without doing the inner work, but the problems are still there potentially. I'm speaking very vaguely here. Everyone has their own experiences and their own perspectives, of course, and everyone has different situations where medications can be helpful. But overall, I do agree that sometimes, a lot of the time, people take medications when they could be doing something better, not become reliant, becoming a slave to the medications then, aren't you, potentially, when you could maybe do the inner work, the hard work, and prevent yourself taking these medications. And some of these medications have side effects as well. Of course. One moment. Have you ever looked at someone who's got like a vacant look in their eye? They don't seem like there's nobody home. And I think sometimes oh, this person might be heavily medicated. They might be suffering with depression. It's sad. It's sad. And it's like there's no one home. That could be an example of someone who's just numb. They're just numbing the pain with the medications, but the pain's still there inside. Anyway, I'll carry on. Let's keep going. So Rohan then says, I fought for these rights to be free from myself, myself, and luckily enjoy them now, but can't help thinking if I fought too hard, I will be ended. Wow. I'm sorry, Rohan. You're free, but you fought to be free from yourself. You must have suffered. And you luckily enjoy them now, but can't help thinking if I fought too hard, I would be ended. Like you've been taken out or something like that. What I'm trying to interpret what you're saying there, Rohan. Zuki's then saying, I think my neurodivergency gives me more experience to relate with others. You can emphasize with others, Zuki. So I'm able to identify people when they're struggling. That's very, very wise, very, very enlightened, by the way. Mixed with a strong moral compass. Absolutely. Integrity is everything, Zuki. So it's naturally going to lead you to be more supportive. I'd say makes you more, in my opinion, if you've gone through the trenches, you've actually lived it, you've got real life experience, you therefore, in a lot of ways, more towards an expert on this type of thing because you've lived it, you've experienced it, you've felt it. You don't just know the theory of it, you know the feeling of it. And if you know the feeling of it, how it feels and what the challenges are, you can really, really help people, Zuki, which is amazing. Very enlightened, by the way. April says, I'm so sad to hear about this, but everyone should be able to talk about it because everyone can have a say. Absolutely. Everyone should have a voice. Everyone should have the opportunity to have be in the environment to feel understood. As you can say, Sandy B, it's a journey, but yes, we're all on this journey, of course. And on that note, I think sometimes it's good to work on yourself, but you can't always, because it gets tiring. I think sometimes you just need to chill a bit as well. I do anyway. So Sandy's saying, oh my God, Suki Snap, you're describing me. Rohan saying, Santa, life in Australia is rough. Housing is too expensive. People steal from each other. Shit, Rohan. Rohan, on that note, the UK is struggling. It's gone downhill. Canada is struggling. America is struggling. France is struggling. Germany is struggling. The list can probably go on, but it's got harder. It's got harder. And I think it's going to get even harder going forwards. We're going to need a lot of resilience going forwards. I'm sorry to hear that, Rohan. It's not just where you are, though. I'm sure you're aware of that. April saying, Zuki, I could say the same. So God bless you. God bless everyone in this chat. Thank you, April. Sandra saying, Rohan, really, wow, people love moving there, though. Yeah. A lot of people from England, I know some of my colleagues have gone over there and worked over there. A lot of people, but the only way to truly know where a place is to what it's like living in a country is to live there yourself, of course. Rohan saying, yes, Sander, it's better here than America. I'll give it that. I bet it is. Some parts of America are really struggling as well. Sander says, agrees with Rohan. April saying, Rohan, do you have many tarantulas? God, they've got some, Australia's got some badass animals that are very dangerous. Oh my God. Compared to England anyway. Sander says, April, LOL. April says, it's a question, LOL. Rohan there says, no, but we have the most poisonous snakes and spiders and the most dangerous animals. Definitely, Rohan. Right up there. Definitely. Sandra's laughing. How do you deal with snakes? Good question. April saying, have you had any poisonous animals in your house? That would scare. That's scary, though. We get spiders in England, but they don't look nice, let's say that, but they're not going to hurt you in England. But in Australia, it's a totally different kettle of fish, as they say. Anyway, one moment. I'm just having a little rest, one moment. I'll be back on the comments in a moment, guys. Oh, it doesn't like me writing that, does it? One moment. Doesn't want, there we go. Thank you. Right. How society impacts neurodiverse people. I'm going to speak a little bit back on the topic, but don't feel bad if you want to change the topic, by the way, of course. I'm going to go back to the comments in a moment. I'm just going to crack on with this little bit section, and then I'll go back to the comments. So society's role, how society is linked to this. I'll crack on with my notes and I'll add some of my perspective, let's say, perspectives, should I say. Anyway, so I think that a lot of depression among neurodivergent people isn't from the neurodiversity itself. It's from the lack of understanding around it. People don't understand it. Like, if you don't think like me, then you're weird, and we just don't want to know. We're going to score and we're going to brush you off, kind of thing. Schools often reward one type of learner. A lot of the time in school, it's remember your lines, isn't it? It's about memory. It's about remembering things. That's what the very, very basics of education. A lot of the time, it's not being creative, is it? It's more being just remember. You've got to pass this certain test in a certain way. And let's carry on anyway. Workplaces reward one type of communicator sometimes. And if you don't fit that mold, if you're not fitting into what they want you to do, you will get labelled as lazy, difficult, or antisocial. You're not fitting in. You're not learning this. Everyone learns in a different way. You're not learning. You're stupid because you don't know how to do this test, for example. And what's that saying? It's like having a fish out of water. You're not going to get a fish climbing a tree, are you? The fish is not going to be able to climb the tree, of course. But you put a fish in water, it'll excel. That type of thing. But imagine constantly trying to keep up in a race designed for someone else's stride. You're in the wrong room. You're in the wrong competition. Just basically, sorry, get the words out right. Sorry, forgive me, sorry. I'm just losing my train of thought a little bit, but let me get back on track. It's no wonder that people burn out or feel so low because they're in the wrong room. You're in the wrong race. You can't always do well in certain situations. It doesn't mean you're bad or stupid. There's different types of intelligence as well. Some people are really good at building things with their hands. They're just really good, like a carpenter. They might be absolutely shit intellectually. You ask them to do an English, let's say an English exam, a PhD in English, this is a bad example. They might be absolutely terrible at that. They might just not be very good at it. But you tell them to fix my car, for example. Not how many people know how to do that. It takes a certain problem-solving skills, learning the dexterity with your hands, certain ways of dealing with things. They're really good. A mechanic, for example, but they won't be good intellectually. That's an example of it. Sorry. But anyway, I'm going to go back to the comments. Rowan's saying, I had a brush with a dugite in 2018. The dugite, I'm assuming, is a snake, Rohan. I've never heard that term before. Go back to the comments. Interesting, by the way. Sandra's saying, I couldn't live in Australia. I'm terrified of crawling creatures of any kind. I can see why, of course, especially if they can potentially kill you. Suki's then saying, I also find that neurodivergent people, from my experience, have something akin to a radar for others that are as well. It's interesting because looking back, I've always had friends around me that were. You've had people around you that had similar traits. That's helpful, isn't it? That could potentially. Sanders, that's potentially very helpful, isn't it? To be around people that are similar to yourself, that you've experienced those types of people before. On that note, I've worked with there's a girl who I work with. She has signs of autism. I'm not going to name names, of course. And she's such a lovely person, and I hate it if anyone takes the piss out of her. I really hate it. I'll stand up for her. And I think that anyone who this girl is lovely, absolutely lovely person. She shows signs of autism, though, in my opinion. But she's so lovely. She's so kind. She's so nice. And I think anyone who bullies somebody like that is disgusting because they're so nice. They're like an angel almost. Sorry, I'm changing the topic a little bit there. Sanders then saying, what's a dugite? I'm assuming it's a snake. Yeah. Rohan, thank you for clarifying. It's our most poisonous snake. I didn't know that, Rohan. April said it sounds scary. Well, yeah, it could kill you potentially. Sanders says, yikes, to Rohan. April saying it's making me shiver thinking about it. Rohan saying life has made Australia's residents into elite warriors on every front. Well, it will do, Rohan, because you've got to survive. I suppose you become what's it called? Desensitized to these things because you have to, because they're around you all the time and you've got to deal with it. Therefore, making you stronger, making you more resilient. April then says, I'm sure you're the greatest one, Rohan. The whole island is a death trap, Rohan. Yeah. Yeah, it is. You're right. You're definitely right. April saying, oh, damn. I think it's very mineral rich, though, isn't it, Australia? A very mineral rich country. Therefore, they export a lot of their minerals to other countries, to China, for example. So it can make them economically stronger. There's opportunities there potentially in Australia more than other places. Hence the reason people go there to work. Of course, though, it has its downsides and challenges. A lot of it is, I'm not an expert. Rohan will know much more than I will about Australia, for God's sake, because he lives there. But I know that it's only habited in certain areas, isn't it? Along the coastline mainly, I think. There's a lot of desert in the middle, basically. I'm explaining it very badly there, Rohan. I apologise, but I think there's about, is it 4 million people? It's a big country. There's only about 4 million people-ish that live there in total. A lot of it's just desert. Or plains, or whatever you want to call it. Sorry. Anyway, April then says, I feel like everything Brad is saying relates to me and maybe some of you guys. I hope so. Thanks, April. I hope so. I hope so. And you don't have to relate to everything, because I don't think that's always possible, but if you relate to some of it, that's good. Western Australia, Rohan says. Cool. April then says, ADHD is something that is hard to deal with and is sometimes really hard to make friends and get on with your life. But always have a few perks to your struggle. Someone there might have autism and hope. Yes. And hope you're all okay. That's very kind of you again. Jenna, hi Jenna. My name's Brad, by the way. Sorry it took me a while to get to your comment if you're still there. You seem very positive. Thank you for your kindness and love you put out. Thank you, Jenna. Yeah, thank you. Thanks to everyone else as well. That's what the channel's all about, respect. It's all about love, understanding. It's all about growth through the suffering, self-improvement. That's what my channel's about. Also, let me go deeper there. It's also becoming less three-dimensional, more to the 5D, meaning becoming more aware, rising above it, like becoming more enlightened, let's say, coming away from that 3D type of thinking, which is a lot of what the world is now. Coming away from low vibrational things, coming to more higher vibrational things, less toxic ego, less I've got to have that car, I've got a Ferrari, I'm better than you type of thinking, becoming more aware, growing through the suffering, therefore becoming more enlightened, let's say. I'm not saying people are better than others, they're not, but that's what my channel's about, through the growth. I'm saying that very vaguely there, but anyway. April saying, thank you. Oh, thank you, Jenna. Hello, and you're very sweet as well. Thanks, April. That's very kind of you to say. Zuki says, linking back in the topic title, emotional dysfunction for me is a major part of my life. Trying to balance and keep on track with shifting emotions, it takes a lot of energy and can be exhausting. Yeah, it can. Yeah, it can, definitely. And I bet you some days, on the heavy days, it's really difficult to get through the day, basically, to get through life sometimes. I can imagine it's very exhausting. It's going to take up a lot of your energy, potentially, if you're going through a tough time. April says, I hope Sander, Rohan and Zuki can agree. I can agree with that, definitely, April. Jenna says, hi, April. Thank you. You seem very kind as well. Absolutely, Jenna, absolutely. April then says, oh, Zuki, you can be a very hard thing to say. I'm proud of you. April says hi again, sorry. One moment. little rest there. April then says, Jenna, think of it like as if there's a lot of bad people and mean people. It's always good to have happiness and kindness, and it can really make someone's day. Yes, it can. Absolutely. Jenna then says, thank you, April. Yes, you're right. April then says, Jenna, in my opinion, everyone is entitled to happiness and kindness. They just ignore it, or people don't realise it. It took me a while to catch up with the comments, guys. I'm sorry. Zuki then saying, definitely, Brad, antidepressants aren't happy pills. They provoke emotional flattening. Yes, fucking right they do, Zuki. And if the care provider offers no follow-ups, talk therapists to process things, people can be left on them. I also think, Zuki, I completely agree, but you've got also most people don't want to do the hard work. So you're responsible for your own body, you're responsible for your own life. In a way, you've got to be your own doctor, you've got to be your own psychologist to an extent. I remember going to the dentist once, and he said to me, I do 10% of the work and you do 90% of the work. I think that's fucking true. A lot of the time, I agree with Zuki going back. A lot of the time, what the GP will do, they go, there's some medication, off you go, 5 minute fucking consultation, just give you some pills, go away, and then they move on to the next, and they don't follow it up with therapies or anything. There's none of those resources available a lot of the time as well. You're right, I agree. However, I think a lot of people just want the easy human nature sometimes. They want the easy answers. They don't want to put the hard work in. They don't want to fucking do it because it's fucking painful. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of determination as well. And results aren't had in a day. Sometimes it takes years. And a lot of people don't do that. So they just take happy pills, whatever medication that is. Take the happy pill, you're fine. And then what I find some people do as well is like they drink every day. Some people drink every day, each their own. But it's a liquid depressant. It's a drug. And then they take antidepressants. It's like you're taking antidepressants and then you're drinking every day and you're drinking a depressant. It's like, good luck with that one. Anyway. For years or decades even, yeah, that can, lifetime of it basically. Suki said, don't get me wrong, the emotional flattening can help people to see things in less extremes, but alone are really effective. You've got to put the work in. It's fucking hard though. Anyway, I agree, Zuki. Thanks for sharing. April saying, yes, it's horrible about drugs. They act like it's okay, but deep down they can feel their pain still. Absolutely, April. April saying, I can totally agree with you. Rohan's then saying, I fought to be free from mandatory meds and escort. And yes, Brad, I feared I would be taken out, executed, in other words, if I fought too hard since I was up against authority figures. God, that must be hard. Very restraining, isn't it? You've always got to have someone with you. You've also make sure you take your meds. You've got to take your meds. Like, I don't really want to take them. You've got to have them, type of thing. That doesn't sound easy, Rohan. It sounds like you've been through it. How's life now is the question. What's life like for you now? Zuki says, it's all too common, sadly. My mum was kept on heavy antidepressants for 20 years with no check-ins or medication review, no support offered. Similar to my sibling, but for less time. Yeah. Oh, God. And then a lot of people, they think, all right, okay, these are the experts. They've given me my meds. That's me. I'm good. So they just go with the status quo of what they've been told. And then you get stuck, potentially. It's difficult. April's saying, I really hope everyone can be okay and no one should be on drugs, but if you can, please be careful because drugs can lead to death. Yeah, they can. Yep, they can. Absolutely. Some people self-medicate with legal drugs, don't they? I think I did when I was younger. I used to take drugs when I was younger. Was I self-harming? Yes. Unconsciously, I was self-harming. Unconsciously, I was self-medicating with drugs to numb the pain in my. I was numbing the pain. I was numbing the pain. Yes, I was. Long time ago, but I was doing it. For a fucking long time, trust me. So very, very difficult to come away from that. Took me a long time. I failed so many times. Trust me, I failed so many times. But I kept going. I kept trying again, kept failing, kept trying again. And eventually I got to where I needed to get to, but it's not easy. April then says, thank you, Zuki, for telling me, and everyone, you didn't need to share that. Oh, it's nice. Thank you for sharing, by the way, guys. It helps other people, but you don't have to. There's no pressure. It's collective consciousness. It's free flowing, of course, without trying to take the pressure away. Jenna says, you're right, April. It's very nice, very kind. Rohan saying, I'm well aware of how rough it is abroad. Look how bad it is in Russia. Ukraine, Russia. I bet it's bad to be... Imagine being a 20-year-old man in Russia. I'm trying to be understanding here. Everyone says Russia's the bad guys, but the people are just people. Most people don't want to go invade countries. They just want to fucking have a nice house, food on the table. They want the basics of life, let's say. They don't want to go and shoot other people. Most people don't want to do that. But if you're a 20-year-old man in Russia, for example, you're getting conscripted, you've been chosen, go to the front line in the trenches. You're not going to feel good about that. I wouldn't. And you've got to go. You've got to go. Front line. You're probably not going to last 6 months or you'll be dead. How horrible must that be? And then horrible for the families as well. I'm looking at both sides, Ukrainian people. The average person doesn't want to go to war. It's absolutely horrible. It's decided by super, super rich, powerful people. And it's awful. Anyway. It's sad, man. It's sad. Is there going to be more of that going forward in society in the future? Maybe there is. I hope not. But it's turbulent times in the world. It fucking is. Anyway, Zuki saying, definitely, Brad. It's so important to find communities that enrich and support us. The need for it is stronger now than ever. Honestly, yeah, it is. The world can feel so isolating at times. Yeah, it can. Yeah, it can. I hope this helps a little bit. It's just me doing my little bit, basically. Trying to help with that. Zuki saying, it's okay. I think it's important to share experiences and stress the importance of check-ins. Yes. And if you find people that can resonate with you, can understand you, maybe they've got their own experiences, it can make you feel like you're less on your own, can't it? Absolutely. Jenna's saying, I like this channel. Everyone seems nice and I will subscribe. Thank you, Jenna. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to put that as a pinned comment. Thank you. Thanks, Jenna. I hope that you're okay. Thank you. Zuki says, but thanks for your concern. Sending love and respect. April says, Jenna and Zuki, and if Sandra is still in here, I hope that you're all doing okay and talking about this. Yeah, thanks, April, again. And Rohan saying, Siberia is especially vulnerable as a national shield for Russia. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hard. Very complex, Rohan. I hope the wars stop. I hope they do. I hate wars are shitty. It's part of history repeats itself, doesn't it, Rohan? It just keeps going. It's just the same scenarios, but with a different characters involved, isn't it? Throughout history, with regards to wars, there's always been wars. It's part of the human, let's say, nature, isn't it? For right or for wrong. It's usually the average person that suffers through these things. Anyway, Jenna's saying, thank you, April and Zuki, sending love and respect. That's beautiful. April says, let's take a moment to just have a look back at our lives. And if it seems rough, it's okay. We can all have that. For my mum and nan is the most important precious people to me. It's also, that's very good of you to say, April. It's also showing appreciation and appreciating who you've got around you, appreciating what you've got in your life. Sometimes what's it called? I'm losing my train of thought. Shit, sorry. It's hard to speak all the time. I'm not trying to be complaining here, but anyway, one moment. One moment. Comparison is a thief of joy as well, isn't it? It's like, look at that person over there. They've got all this. I haven't got that. That can make you feel like shit, of course. It's appreciating what you've got, which is what I'm gauging from what April has just shared with us. Zuki then saying, April, I think the years of self-therapizing and actually going to therapy has brought me to a place that I can feel confident to share. You've come out the other end, Zuki. Amazing. Neurodiversity has a way of making people alone in their thoughts, etc. And hence why shared experience have a lot of value. Sending love and respect as well. That's amazing. Zuki, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, if you're going through the thick of it, if you're in a bad place, you're probably not gonna want to shoot. There's a good reason why you won't want to share at that time, because you're going through hell potentially in your mind or in your life, and it's hard to share at that time. But like Zuki just said, if you get through it, going through therapy as well, it's not easy. Everyone thinks, oh, therapy is going to be easy. It's not. A lot of people avoid it. One, a lot of the time you've got to pay for it. It can be quite expensive. Not everyone can potentially afford it, unless you get it for free if you're lucky. And then it's just a lot of the work. Like I've said before, the therapist will do 10% of the work, but the individual yourself will do 90% of the work, the hard soul searching, which can be painful. It will be painful at times. But if you can make it out the other end of it, that's when you've got the confidence. You've got the experience, therefore you've got the confidence. Anyway. April agrees with Zuki. Jenna saying, who's this kind, wise man? Oh, thank you, Jenna. My name's Brad. This is my channel, Inspirational Ambivert channel. It's Let's Get Inspired Live vlog. Yeah, I live close to Manchester, about 30 miles away from Manchester. I'm a nurse, basically. I work as a nurse, a scrub nurse, in operational theatres, basically. This is my passion project, my channel. I wish I could do more of this, but I don't. I just only have so much time and so much energy. So if I could do this more, I would, Jenna. If I could do this more, I would. I think I'm just going to start doing Saturdays and Sundays, hopefully. I was meant to do one live yesterday, but I didn't have time, unfortunately. But majority of Sundays, 10 o'clock in the morning, I turn up consistently because I have the time. And I'm hopefully going to start integrating Saturdays as well. But thank you for your kind words, Jenna. Appreciate that. April said, this is Brad, an amazing inspirational man. Oh, thanks, April. Thank you. That's really kind of you to say. Just be open and honest though as well, Jenna. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. And I'm not a psychologist either. I have experiences. I've grown through suffering. I've got experiences. I've got some knowledge on things, but I don't know everything. I'm not like, let's say, a professional expert. I'm not that. Just to be open and honest with you. I always say that on every video because I just don't want, yeah, I think it's good to be honest. Anyway, Rohan said, neurodiversity can affect, one moment. Rohan is saying, neurodiverse are affected adversely, either intentionally or unintentionally based on arbitrary standards held by any given society. Yeah, so people can unconsciously shun them and treat them like lepers, let's say, potentially, and dismiss them through their ignorance, but they can do it unconsciously. So they don't know what they're doing, basically. Some people, they're just not aware of what they're doing. They're just doing it unconsciously, which is not as bad as if they're doing it consciously, let's say. I'm trying to break that down. And it depends on the society. It depends on the society and the environment as well, Rohan. I can imagine it can be a lot harder in some places than others with regards to those trying to get the words out, behind those behaviours towards those type of people, let's say. Thanks for sharing again. It's really good, by the way, Rohan. Jenna says, that's smart, Zuki. Sending love and respect. I need to get into some therapy. I think it's finding the right therapist as well, Jenna. I think they've got to match your personality as well. Not that I'm an expert on these things, because I'm not. I think it can be really, really good for you, though. You don't have to, though. I think you can read if you read, but if you read as well, that can help. If you find certain books, read. Reading's so powerful. Reading's helped me big time, massively. I got out of being a very insecure, fucked up 20-year-old, let's say, who was taking fucking drugs. I got away from that through reading. That helped me understand myself, helped me understand how other people work, how I work, helped me understand that better, and it helped me to come away from those types of toxic behaviours, let's say. So it doesn't have to be therapy. Therapy is great, though, don't get me wrong. But I think reading can. If you apply... Also, what I find is sometimes people read books. I've done a bit of this myself, but you've got to apply what you're reading, what you're learning. It's all good and well. You can read through it, but it's applying it as well. Anyway, April says, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to hear that, Rohan, but it's good that you're sharing it. I hope you feel better. I agree. Jenna saying, thank you, Brad, for sharing your wisdom. Oh, thanks, Jenna. Thank you for you guys as well for sharing your wisdom. It's not just about me. It's you guys that's sharing your wisdom as well. 1000%. But thank you. Appreciate that. April says, Jenna, I hope you're okay about your struggles. Absolutely. Zuki says, Jenna, that's great to recognise when you need support and to actively find that. I hope it brings forth some new inspiration and tools to help you out. Yes. One moment. Yeah, just by discussing things, you're bringing it into your consciousness, aren't you? You bring it to your awareness. Everything starts with a conversation. Every idea starts with a thought, doesn't it? And then you communicate it. It comes out in the words. That's the beginning process of change, isn't it? April says, Brad is amazing about these kind of things. He's just amazing about all this. Oh, thanks, April. Thank you. April says, and he's sharing everything honestly from his perspective. Yes, I am. I'm trying my best too, April. I'm doing my best. Zuki saying, any other neurodivergent people in chat who didn't receive their diagnosis until after schooling education system? It wasn't until December 2022 I got my ADHD diagnosis. Wow. That's living through it, isn't it? Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. I need a moment. One moment. I think a lot of people experience that. They're undiagnosed. They don't know. They're not aware of anything. On the flip side, Zuki and everyone else, some people could be misdiagnosed. They could say, you've got that. And like, they don't have that. Or it can be missed. It can work both ways, can't it? Of course. Especially in today's society in England, the lack of resources, the lack of support and funding for things, they don't have enough time for people. They just don't. There's not enough staff. There's not enough people working on it. So people can just be misdiagnosed as well. Misdiagnosed, like missed. Sometimes they're missed. And sometimes it's just like labeling someone. If you label, never underestimate the power of suggestion as well. You could be labeled as something that you're not. Potentially. I'm trying to think broader here. Thanks for sharing, Zuki. Anyway, I'll keep going the best I can. Jenna's saying, I'm getting better, April, every day with people like you guys helping, showing good examples of traits I admire. That's lovely, Jenna. Jenna says, thank you to Zuki. April says, I've got ADHD. When I started primary, thinking primary school, it was so upsetting and bad. I would always be on my own, talking to myself until my BFF came up to me and played with me. Oh, good that you had that person around to get you through it, April. April says, Zuki says, Zuki sends love and respect. April then says, Jenna, I'm really glad to hear that. Zuki says, those types of people are so pivotal in life. Those that see someone by themselves and want them feeling included. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I think sometimes that's the universe sending you the right people at the right time as well. I think that sometimes they can come through people. They can help you. The right person at the right time will be there for you. Is that divine intervention? Maybe, maybe not. Depends which way you look at it. And sometimes the biggest teachers can be the people that you don't want in your life. The abusive people, the nasty people. There's lessons in that as well. It's not always what you want. Sometimes it's what you need. I've gone back to some times in my life where I've been around some fucking horrible people, trust me, and they've not been nice to me at all. They've been absolute cunts with me. Sorry to swear, but they've been cunts with me. And if I didn't have those people in my life, I wouldn't have learned what I've learned. I wouldn't have gained the wisdom. As horrible as it can be at the time. Anyway, April says, I can relate to that. And Zuki, where do you live? Asking where Zuki lives. You don't have to answer if you don't want to, of course, April, no pressure. Zuki's from Lincolnshire. Okay, cool. I've never been to Lincolnshire, I don't think, to be honest. Jenna says, thank you, April. One moment. So anyway, I'm going to go back to my notes a moment. Society often calls it mental illness. Just label it as mental illness. But when in truth, it's emotional exhaustion from living in a system that doesn't include you. Absolutely. So do you think that society is becoming more aware of neurodiversity, or does it still feel behind? I'm going to be 1 minute, guys. Literally 1 minute. I'm just going to take my microphone off. I won't be long. Sorry, guys. I have to do something quickly. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm back. I'll put my microphone back on. Sorry about that. Okay, let's recenter. Let's keep going. Okay, so back to the comments. So April saying, oh my God, Zuki, I live near you. Okay, cool. Zuki saying, really? Small world? Yes, it is. Can be. Rohan says, we have one of the sparest population densities on the planet. Second to few besides Greenland. Wow, yes. With regards to Australia, of course. Zuki saying, April Miles recently moved here from Birmingham. What's life in Birmingham like? It's the second biggest city in England, isn't it? April saying, you live in England near Lincolnshire and Hull, on the east, of course. April saying, oh my God, that's cool. Zuki then says, yeah, my grandparents used to live in Beverley, so I'm semi-familiar with Hull. One moment, where's my notes? I'm going to catch up with the comments the best I can. April saying, Jenna, it's no problem. Jenna then says, Zuki, yes, it's important to find people that you can look up to and who genuinely want good from you. Yep. It's finding the right ones. Some people could be very, got to be careful out there. There's a lot of snakes out there potentially. Don't need to be too paranoid, but give people the benefit of the doubt, of course. Some people that genuinely will want the best for you, but there's people that, you know what it's like out there sometimes. Some people don't always want what's best for you, do they? It's recognising who the good ones are and who the bad ones are, I suppose. It's not always easy. Jenna's saying, thank you, Brad. No problem. It's all good. April saying, I can agree with you all on this. Oh, Brad is a legend. Oh, thank you. Thanks, April. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Zuki, as well. Appreciate that. That's lovely. April saying, I hope you can all get better talking about struggles. Yes. I suppose on this kind of format, it could potentially be an easier way of doing this because you can just type it in. You don't even have to say it out loud in a group. So some people, they don't feel comfortable or confident enough to express themselves face to face with people. They might not be in the right environments to do so. But here, you can do so a lot. I think it's a lot more, potentially a lot easier and a lot more straightforward to do it on here because you're on your own. You could potentially be on your own. You're on your phone or whatever you're on, whatever device you're using, and you can just type in a few things and share things on here. I think it's a good way to start that process potentially if you wanted to do it that way. April says, yes, Zuki, that's the energy. Jenna says, love to you all and respect. Absolutely. Thank you, Jenna, again. April says, God bless everyone. It's really amazing. Lovely. Just going through the topic comments best I can. Zuki saying, my opinion on therapies is a good one. It teaches you to safely, effectively self-therapize. Yes, they lay the tools, foundations out to achieve this. And I think they also do it more specifically, tailored to the individual and where they're at. That's the beauty of therapy. It's very, very specific for that individual because people are complex and they're going to listen to you, see where you're at, and they've got so much experience with that. If they're a good therapist, let's say, if you get the right one, they can really give you the specific tools to work on, tailor-made for the individual. A very good way of dealing with things. I remember being younger. My parents, I was very emotional when I was younger. My 13, 14, I used to I used to cry a lot when I was 13, 14. I was going through puberty. I was fucked up. Trust me, I was really fucked up. My mum and dad didn't know what to do with me. And they went, Brad, you need to go and see a therapist. We don't know what to do with you, Brad, they said. They said, we don't know what to do with you, Brad. I said, you need to go and see a therapist. And I said, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. And I refused to go. Maybe it would have been a good thing to do, but at that age, I understand. I thought the stigma of it, I felt ashamed. If I went to a therapist that it would be a bad thing. I was only 13, Laura. I was young. I didn't know anything, but I was messed up. I think not long after that, I started to get into drugs, about 15, 16. Stupidly, let's say that. But it probably could have benefited from it at that time, but I wasn't ready. I was young. I was a teenager. Anyway, April says, Zuki, I really hope Brad can talk about a drug that's really bad for the body I really hope Brad can talk about a drug that's really bad for the body since you were on about a happy pill, but it's very, very bad drug and can lead to death and very dangerous things to have. What do you mean by that, April? What drug? Jenna says, I agree, Zuki. I'm trying to go back to that comment. Serotonin. I think so. I think serotonin is antidepressant, isn't it? I think there's just side effects from that potentially. If that's in line with what you're saying, April. April says it's horrible what people take on just to make them feel better about the pain. Yeah, definitely. Hope that April says, I hope that's going well for you, Zuki. Zuki says I tried 5 or so antidepressants, but honestly, I found that any that worked for me personally. April says, please don't go on them again. Just if you feel sad, just look back and see what you can make life better. Sometimes you need to feel the emotions as well. You got to feel the pain. So you take serotonin, let's just say you go with serotonin, you first start taking it, this is just an example, and all of a sudden you feel great. You're masking the pain, you're numbing the pain, and you feel great. But the pain's still there, it's not being dealt. The pain is a message. It's a message. Something's not right. Like you've got pain in your arm. You broke your arm, it's fucking sore. It's painful. Okay, I need to go to the hospital and they're going to give me an elbow replacement because your elbow's broken. Let's go simple. You need an elbow replacement. You need a new elbow. It's broke. So they fix it. And a few months later, you're healed. Really straightforward story. But emotionally, you'll have pain. So you feel bad. And the pills aren't going to fix it. Or take a pill, you're fine. It doesn't just work like that. Or physically eat the pill. You're done. Yes, it's going to mask the pain, but the pain's still there. It needs to be dealt with. It's not straightforward as the elbow, though, is it? The elbow's physical. It's a physical thing. It's a bone. It's straightforward. It's sore. It's painful. It needs fixing. But those emotions need to be fixed as well. But it's dealt with in a different way. But a lot of people don't get to that point. Anyway, I'll keep going. I'll keep speaking. Duke saying, April, sorry, one moment. April says, please don't go on them. I've already read that. Zuki says, April, well, thank you. Once I found the right therapist, I was of somewhat a game changer. Took a few different ones to find them, but worth being perseverant with. Yes, Zuki, not every therapist is going to match you personally. Sometimes you've got to find a few. Sometimes you've got to go and try other ones. Yes, I'd agree with that. Not one size fits all, of course. Jenna says, Brad is a legend. Glad I found him. Oh, thanks, Jenna. Thank you. Appreciate that. Love and respect back to you, of course. April says, oh, thank goodness you're not one of them, since a lot of people go on them and a few months later end up in hospital. Yeah, potentially they do, April. I'm glad I stayed for this. Great people in here. Yes, that's what we're trying to attract. Yes, that's what this channel is all about. Absolutely. April saying, because this is really helping me talk about this. Yeah. Problem shared to problem halved, always. April says, guys, I got to go. Bye. Goodbye, April. Sorry, it took me a while to get to you, to the comments. I'm a bit behind. Sorry. Thank you for being with us today, April. I hope that you're okay. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Thanks for sharing your perspectives. It's been very wise and insightful, so thank you. One moment, sip of water. Jake saying, April, for some sure, though, I will say I have friends, they've been a huge benefit for them, for the therapist, I'm thinking. Jake saying, nice to chat to you. Bye, everyone, because I've got to go. Fair enough, April. You've got a life to live. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your day. Jenna says, nice to meet you, towards April. April says, I hope I see you all again soon at some point. Sending love and respect. Sandra says, bye, April. Lovely to meet you. Jenna says, yes, me too. Love and take care. Wise words, Zuki, there. I'm going through the comments the best I can. Jenna says, wow, you're really inspiring. Great job, Brad. Thanks. Thanks, Jenna. I try my best. I try my best. I'm not perfect, though, of course. Rohan says, the comparison of neurodivergent dyslexia is getting old, especially today. Yeah, it is. It was just, I was just giving it as an example, Rohan. A very, very harsh example, wasn't it? Yes. Yeah, it's not fair, that, is it, Rohan? I agree. Just saying, you're very impressive. You have great advice, and the fact that you're a nurse is awesome. Oh, thanks. Yeah. On that note, Jenna, I didn't even. Honest to God, I can't believe I'm a nurse. Sometimes I've been doing it since 2021. I'm 42. I'm nearly 43. Fuck me, it goes quickly. I wouldn't even have thought I would become a nurse in my life at all. It's like, wow, how the hell have I ended up here? But I've been doing it for 4 years. Yeah. I'm glad I'm doing it. It's good. I don't work on the wards, or I work in the theatre. I don't want to work on a ward. The hours are a killer. The workload is a killer. It's really difficult on the wards. Theatres can be difficult as well, of course, in a different way, but it's a lot more structured, a lot more structured, I'd say, in elective theatres. Anyway, what books have helped me? Wow. A lot of books have helped me. I'm trying to remember some of them. Everyone's heard this one, The Power of Now. The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle, was one that helped me because it's just being aware of your thoughts, isn't it? That was one that helped me. Very basic one, but it helped me. Yeah, The Power of Now was one. Another one that really helped me early on, it's probably quite an old book now, is Emotional Vampires. I forgot the full title of it. Sorry, Jenna. Emotional Vampires. And it helped me because and The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, helped me to identify toxic people. Those two books. I forgot who wrote them, sorry. I'm trying to think. I've read so many. God, I'm trying to think of some. The Secret helped as well. Regards to, sorry, I'm trying to get the words out. One moment. Sorry, guys, I lose my train of thought sometimes. Yeah, that's just a few that I can think of right now. That Emotional Vampires one was like recognizing narcissistic people, basically. I think there's one called The Book of Life. There's so many. I'm trying to think. There's so many that I've read that have helped me through the years. Sorry, Jenna, that's all I've got for now. I'm trying to think of some more. The Hard Road Will Take You Home. That's another one. That's about resilience and perseverance. There's so many that are really beneficial. That's just a few of them anyway. Emotional Intelligence. Is it Goldstein? I forgot that one as well. The book about emotional intelligence. And yeah, there's so many. Anyway, I'll keep going. Sorry, Jenna, I've only got a few there. Wolf in Sheep's Clothing helped me though, because then you're recognizing the wolf in sheep's clothing is obviously like a narcissist that's pretending to be a nice person, and how to recognize them. That's a good book. Yep. And that Emotional Vampire one was good because then it probably very basic really, but back then when I was in my 20s when I read that, it helped me to realize about the people that I had around me, helped me to understand them, helped me to spot them, helped me to understand them more, and also helped to understand myself in that through the process, which helped me come away from all these toxic type of environments. Anyway, I'll keep going. Zuki saying, Rohan, has someone made that comparison to you around you? That's crazy. Back to the comment with regard to the books. I need to, I've lost my train of thought with the books. I've read a lot of books. I have read a lot of books. I need to collect my thoughts a little bit with that to remember the specific names of some of them as well. So Zuki saying, has anyone made that comparison to you around you? That's crazy. Ron said, proud of a diagnosis, eh? Don't know what you mean by that, Rohan. No, Zuki, but I have heard people speaking of neurodiverse as undesirable. Yes. Yeah. Happens in society, Rohan. Like it's a bad thing, like it's a terrible thing. It's just a different thing. Zuki says, oh, I see, yeah. I bet those people have been in their life that are neurodiverse have no idea. Yeah, some of those people that are judging those undesirable people, quote unquote, which is wrong, of course, they could definitely have people that are neurodiverse that are around them, absolutely. Yorick is with us. Hello, Yorick. Good to have you with us, by the way. Hi, Yorick. Hope that you're okay. Hope you're doing well. Zuki says hello to Yorick. Yorick asked me if I'm good. I'm good, thanks, Yorick. Yeah, I'm just keeping going. I've only done one live this week. I was going to do one yesterday, but I've just not had the time. I need to. Basically, I've got a little bit of an injury. It's not a big thing, but I train. I go to the gym, and my tendons on my forearm are weak. Basically, I've overtrained, and I need to do rehabilitation exercises. So I've been putting a lot of time and energy into the rehabilitation exercises, therefore not having enough time to do the other lives. It's not the end of the world. It's just one of life's challenges, let's say. Yorick says, please like and subscribe. Thank you, Yorick. I'm going to share that comment. Thank you. Jenna says hi to Yorick. Yorick says hello to Jenna. Zuka says, meaning ADHD and autism, which just shows how important research on these things are. But those societal stigmas still have a long way to catch up. Yeah, they do. Absolutely. With modern knowledge of ADHD, autism, for example. And some, like I said before, sometimes these types of people might not fit into certain systems where you've got to produce, you've got to perform in a work environment. You've got to perform. You've got to do the job. And if you've got someone with autism in that environment, they might not do well because they're in the wrong room, and people are going to get pissed off at them. And this doesn't sound fair. I know it doesn't sound fair, but these people, imagine you've got loads and loads of work to do. Everyone's stressed out. Everyone's at work. They don't want to be there, but they've got loads of work to do. And they get that person on the team that's not performing. They're not up to scratch. It's nothing personal, but you're there to perform. It sounds harsh. It sounds a bit brutal, but that's the way it is. And if you're not performing, you're a dead weight. You're only strong as your weakest link. Therefore, everyone else is carrying this potentially dead weight. This is their perspective. This is where they're going to see it. And they're going to think, oh, that person's showing signs of autism. This person's not doing the work they're meant to do. This person is pissing us off because we're doing their work for them. This sounds harsh, I know. And that's why people can be mad at those types of people. And that might sound harsh, but within a work environment, in a factory or wherever it is, that is going to happen. Ideally, that individual would find a different type of job, and they could be brilliant at it. But a lot of the time, they don't have the access to those. They need to work. Let's say the autistic person needs to work. They need to do something, and there's not many opportunities around, so they just fall into whatever they fall into, and that's what can happen. I'm not saying this is fair. I'm not saying this is kind, but I'm just giving an example of what can happen within the workplace with regards to an autistic person, for instance. Anyway, Rohan saying, I'm going to bunk off because I have a university assignments to finish. Thanks for being with us, Rohan. You've shared some really good perspectives. Thank you for sharing everything that you've shared. Thanks for being with us today. Hope that you're okay. Good luck with your university assignments. You sound like you're very, very intelligent, by the way. Good luck to you with regards to what you're doing. Maybe next time you could share what degree you're working on at the moment. Jenny said, I bet you're an incredible nurse. Smile. Oh, thanks, Jenny. Yeah, I do my best. I do care. I'm very conscientious. I work very hard. I do about 45 hours a week. I do all the time. I work a lot. I do my best. Yes, thanks. I've been doing it for 4 years now. I'm in my 4th year. I qualified in September 2021. And I've been working at the hospital I've been at since then, full time. I actually do more than full time. I do extra. Anyway, Maggot saying my mum's a doctor in West Australia. Is from Darwin. Oh wow, Darwin in Australia. Yeah. Maggot, that's great to have a mum as a doctor. Good for you, man. Jenna's saying thank you for the book recommendations. No worries, Jenna. Sorry, what I'm gonna do, Jenna. Thank you for asking that question. I'm going to look at the books that I've read in the past. I'm trying to remember them, write them down. I'm going to share them on the community section. Books that have really helped me. You've got me thinking there, by the way, Jenna, but thanks for that. Yorick saying, train of thought. You just gave me an idea for my steam train, Brad. Okay. Yorick has his own channel, by the way, guys. Check his channel out. And 1 second, saying that I write thoughts around the train and a thought bubble popping up, sticking to the train. That's very creative, Yorick. Go for it. Yorick then says, yeah, I didn't see you this week. Was wondering if you were okay as you didn't do live. No, Yorick, I didn't have time, mate. I was doing I was going to the gym more. I was doing rehabilitation exercises, hence the reason I didn't do the live. Right, let's crack on. Sorry, I've got to the end of the comments, which is great. Let me think. So let's go to the hidden strengths. Let's think about the strengths now. Neurodiverse strengths. A lot of the time, these people can end up in society and they think that they're weak, that they're not good enough, that they're misunderstood, that they're weird. They're told that they're weird. They're shunned. It's not fair. Of course, it's not fair. Sometimes it can be quite mean. It can be quite discouraging. It can lead people to feeling depressed because they're misunderstood because their brains are wired differently. Of course. I'm referring to my notes a moment. But there's hidden strengths. Here's the thing. Neurodivergent people often have massive strengths. They fucking do. That get overlooked. ADHD minds can be insanely creative and spontaneous. Yep, because they're wired differently, aren't they? Their thoughts can go off in different directions. They're just thinking differently. They're coming up with things that we wouldn't even think about. The average person might not think about. They're creative. They're thinking outside the box. It's coming spontaneously as well because of the way their brains are wired. They can come up with some brilliant ideas. Totally different. That's a massive sign of intelligence. A lot of the time in schools, remember your lines. Remember, it's all about remember. It's memory based, isn't it? A lot of the educational system is about memory. A lot of it is. A lot of tests, exams. It's all about memorizing. It lacks often creativity. I think society lacks creativity sometimes as well. Bring more of that. That's what people with ADHD can bring to the table. Another one is autistic minds can see details that others miss. Like we've discussed before, they're very detail-orientated potentially. They become experts at what they do. I work with surgeons that show signs of autism. I'm telling you now, they're not very good at speaking with people. I've worked with surgeons that do, let's say, hands, orthopedic hands. They fix people's hands. Let's keep it simple. And some of those individuals, they're so good at what they do. This guy, one surgeon, he has to have, the table has to be at a certain degree. He measures the table. It has to be a specific degree. We're thinking, what the hell? It has to be a certain degree. It has to have the certain table. It has to have certain swabs. He's so specific. He's so detail orientated. It annoys people sometimes because you're thinking, oh my God, he's such a fussy person. That's what people think, of course. However, if he was operating on your hand, you'd be so grateful because he's so intricate, he's so careful, he's excellent at what he does. However, he's very detail orientated. And if anything veers off what he expects, if he doesn't have the right dressings, if he doesn't have the specific instruments, if he doesn't have everything perfectly like he likes, he gets very agitated. It becomes a pain in the ass, let's be honest, because he's detail orientated. That's the downside. But however, if this guy was operating on you, you'd be so happy. You'd be so happy. I'm just giving an example. Does he have signs? Does he have traits of autism? Yeah, he does, in my opinion. Is he brilliant at what he does? Absolutely, because of the detail-orientated aspect of how he's thinking. How he's thinking is. One moment. So yeah, that's an example of someone who potentially has autism that's very good at what they do, very detail-orientated. Anyway, I'm going to carry on. One moment. Sorry, guys. A sip of water. One moment. Another example of strengths that a person with neurodiversity has is dyslexic thinkers often excel at big picture problem solving. I don't know much about that, if I'm honest. If anyone knows about that, I don't know much about that, but if I'm honest, dyslexic thinkers often excel at big picture problem solving. But anyway, I'm going to keep going. I don't know much about that, if I'm honest. I'm just referring to my notes. But because these strengths come with challenges like overstimulation, sensitivity, or burnout, they often get buried under all the effort that they put in. They don't fit into what society expects of them. It can be overburdening for them. So all that detail-orientated strength can get overburdened by a chaotic environment, for example. The real goal isn't to fix these people. People who've got neurodiversity, who have neurodiverse types of thinking, out of the box type of thinking, autism or whatever. You shouldn't try to fix these people. They are the way they are. They have strengths. You can't really fix them because they're just different, that's all. But they need to be in the right environments for them to be able to thrive, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, let me go to the comments. You're saying I could do a rehabilitation exercise stream, show people how to do. I could do. That's out of the box type of thinking, Yorick. Thanks for the idea. That'd be very specific, physically based. I could do though. Maybe I will do at one point. Thanks for that. Yorick saying some of those basic rehabilitation exercises moves are very popular. Thanks for the idea, Yorick. Maybe I could do that at some point. Thanks for the idea. Will I do a stream on Halloween and Halloween-related topics? I've not thought of that. It's different. It's I suppose it's like it's potentially going to. Do you know what? That's a good idea. You give me an idea there. Thanks, Yorick. I want to do a stream about where I live. I want to do a walk around the area that I live in, and one of the houses has got loads of skeletons outside of it, Yorick. Change the topic here, and it's amazing. And it's the best house I've ever seen with Halloween decorations. It's by far the best I've ever seen in my life, and it's where I live, and I want to show that. So yes, thank you for that. I've got an idea. Thanks, Yorick. Just gonna have a little rest a moment. Sorry, guys, I'm just going quiet for a moment. So anyway, the people in that neurodiversity, they have a lot of strengths. They really, really do. They've just got to find the right environment. I know it's going to be difficult for them sometimes. I'm sure it can be. It's finding that right room, isn't it? It's also, I find as well, just from an individual perspective, is, what was I going to say then? Sometimes if you're not appreciated or respected where you are, you're in the wrong room as well. I've had that in the past where I've worked in places where I wasn't really seen or heard or thought about, even though I was a good person, like to think I was a good person, I was a good person to have on the team. People didn't always appreciate me in my past work environments, and I felt isolated, and I felt like I wasn't being used. I was being wasted, basically. I felt like I was wasted, and that's what can happen with these people as well. And then I've moved on to other places where people have actually seen me, they've respected me, I've had more influence, they've listened to what I've got to say. It's finding the right places. So anyway, go back to Yorick. Yorick saying it's gone colder now in the UK. Yeah, it has. It's dropped big time. I think it's a bit colder up here as well in the north, Yorick, because you're from London, of course. I'm from Lancashire. Overall, I'd say. But it has gone colder, yes. You've got to buy a small heater for your rabbit. You look after that rabbit, Yorick. You've got a very lucky, your rabbit's lucky to have you. You're buying it a heater. That's kind of you to do that. And you bought him a hay box recently. He loves to play with it, basically. Anyone that's watching, Yorick's got his own channel, by the way. He does a variety of streams. He does live streams with his rabbit, does live streams with a train. He does live streams of him walking in and around London, which can be very interesting as well, amongst other things. So please check out Yorick's channel if you've got the time, or if you want to, please check out Yorick's channel. Anyway, I'm going to change this bit here. So I'm going to move on to depression and self-understanding. So depression and self-understanding. Let me just write this in. Hope it lets me type this in. Oh, it's not let me type it in. Sorry, something went wrong. Let's go with that. Less words I need. I'm just typing something in, guys. Sorry. I'm struggling to type that in. Doesn't like that word. I'm struggling with, sorry guys, I'm taking forever here. I'm trying to type something in here, trying to share something, and it's not allowing me to. Anyway, I'm gonna have to keep talking. Sorry, guys. So self-understanding and depression, which is linked to neurodiversity. I'm sorry that I can't type this in. So let's go back to my notes. Let's keep going. Okay, so many years can go by without some people even realizing that they're neurodivergent. Some people don't even realize they are. They don't know. They don't know. They just think that they're bad at life. They think they're shit at life. They think they're rubbish. They think they're weird. That's what can happen to people who've got neurodiversity. Or they can't focus, or they feel like they're too much themselves. They find that the way they are impacts other people. I can imagine that can feel very isolated potentially. But when people finally understand themselves, when they truly understand themselves, like when someone gets diagnosed or just learns more about how they are wired, it's often a massive relief. Of course, it's going to be a massive relief. It's like the light bulb goes on and suddenly they realise that they weren't broken, they were just different all along. So they were just different all along. Okay, let me just go with that. Yeah, a lot of people that are neurodivergent, potentially they're going to be in situations where they are the way they are. I'm going to use a surgeon for an example. He is misunderstood a lot of the time. I work in the theatres, so I work with the surgeon sometimes. And it can be overburdened. It can be very hard work because if everything's not perfect, he gets a little bit annoyed. But I don't think he's a bad person. And if everything's not perfect, he gets mad. Basically, he gets mad at us. He gets mad. He's got mad at me in the past. He's got, and it's not felt good, if I'm honest, on the receiving end of that. Anyway, what am I trying to say? I'm losing my train of thought, guys. Sorry. I'm going quiet for a moment. I'm really, really sorry. I've lost my train of thought. Of course, am I perfect? No, definitely not. I'm trying to think of what to say next. I'm trying to give the best example I can with regards to what I'm saying, of course. Yeah, a lot of the time people are not diagnosed, are they? So they don't know that their thinking's different and they can struggle fitting into society. They really struggle with it, of course. They don't know what to say. They're just confused, of course, and they can be shunned by work environments or wherever it is. They're going through life. Everyone's thinking that they're weird. Some of these people could be bullied as well. If you're at school, for example, you're neurodivergent, you're very detail orientated. Maybe they say you lack common sense, which can happen. Or that why are you thinking about that? That's where people could get bullied as well, which can obviously lead to depression, can't it? Especially people that are neurodivergent, people with ADHD or autism. but then they're never diagnosed. So they feel like they don't fit in. It can probably feel really bad. They can feel like they're ridiculed and they're mocked. But the aim and the goal is to understand yourself, isn't it? It's knowing, I think like that, I'm different, but that's where my strengths are. That's where my power is. That's where my strength is, potentially. That can also be a massive relief. I'm sure it can be a massive relief. Once you know the way you are, you understand the way you are, it can help you big time in society. It can help you in life. So I'm going to move on. Healing and coping. I hope that it lets me type this in. Yes, it's let me type that in. Amazing. Right, healing and coping. So moving on. Healing and coping with the way you are. Healing from the past. Anyway, so refer to my notes again. So how can people begin to manage that link between neurodiversity and depression? How are they going to deal with it? That's what I'm going to talk about now. So first is self-awareness. Most people in the world, not most, but a lot of people I think the world's becoming more self-aware. I think there's a collective consciousness. I think that we're evolving, hopefully. Not everybody though, but quite a lot are. We live in the age of information. Of course, we live in the age of information. You type something into Google or Chat GPT, which is the newer thing, you can find out so much. It's being open-minded enough. It's looking down the right trains of thought, though, isn't it? But it's understanding your triggers, your limits, and your strengths. Self-awareness, it's all about, basically knowing what pisses you off, what your insecurities are, why you're insecure, that type of thing. Knowing what your limits are, what am I good at? What am I interested in? What am I passionate about? What do I not like? That can be part of self-awareness. Knowing what your limits are, trying something and then failing, thinking, do you know what? I'm not that good at that. I try to be, let's say I'm trying to be a basketball player, but I'm not the tallest. I'm okay at it, for instance, but I know my limits. I can only do so much with that. And finding out what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, it's all with regards to self-awareness. And for people that are neurodivergent, they might be detail-oriented. They might be interested in numbers. They love numbers. They love mathematics. They love problem solving with mathematics. They like things that have a clear-cut answer, specific answer. There's only in mathematics, like basically, there might be different methods to get to the example, but there's always the answer is the answer. There's only one answer a lot of the time, of course. But with English, for instance, it could be a lot more malleable, isn't it? Sometimes it's a lot different. Anyway, moving on. Let me have a sip of water. So self-awareness, if you're aware of what your strengths and weaknesses are, that's the first step. Okay, so healing and coping. Let's keep going. Secondly, you've got to find the right environment. Sometimes it's not about changing yourself. It's about changing who and what you surround yourself with. This applies to us all. If you're in the wrong room, if you're in the wrong room, you're not going to be valued. You're not going to be respected. You cannot be liked. Sometimes what can happen is you can end up in a work environment. I'm using a work environment as an example, and you're really good. You're brilliant at what you do. You're really, really good at what you do. And what can happen a lot of the time is people might feel threatened by you. You're not trying to be threatening. You're just trying to do good at what you're doing. But if you've got insecure leaders, they're going to see that you have a lot of potential, that you're really good, and that you're shining brightly. But they don't want you to shine brightly because they fear that you outshine them. They fear that you're going to take their job. They fear that you're going to take their influence, even though you're not trying to do those things. And that type of environment, it's not going to be the right environment, is it? It's not going to feel good. It's not going to fucking feel good. And therefore, you're in the wrong room. You're in the wrong room, they're in the wrong environment. However, in another environment where you've got people that are kind, they're warmer, they respect you, they appreciate what you bring, That's the room you want to be in. And neurodivergent people can just be in the wrong room as well, of course. Like I've already said, they're detail-orientated, for instance. They're so like a walking, talking encyclopedia, some of these people. They're fucking smart as hell. They're really smart. They're just smarter than everyone else in the room a lot of the time. And insecure leaders will think, oh shit, this person knows more than me. That threatens my ego. I don't like this. I'm going to be nasty to that autistic person, let's say. And also their skills and their skills don't match that environment. Like I've said before, they need to be maybe working in IT, maybe, or in engineering. They need to be given a specific set of tasks with spreadsheets, etc., just for example, and they will be fucking brilliant, beyond words brilliant. But if you stick them in, let's say the theatre, because that's where I work, you stick them in the theatre, it's chaos in there. Things are changing. There's a lot of people in there. There's a lot going on. There's a patient on the table. Things are happening dynamically and they're happening quickly, and it's chaos potentially. To them especially, it's going to be even more so chaos. They could be overwhelmed by that sensitivity overload, and they can just freeze. They don't know what to do, so they just run out of the room. They're in the wrong room. Anyway, so there you go. But it's finding what you're good at, finding what you're passionate about, and then hopefully finding somewhere you can flourish. I think Einstein was an example of this, wasn't he? He struggled socially. He was really shit with his family, was Einstein. He was shit. He was a shit dad. He was a shit partner. He was rubbish. Einstein was socially, he was shit. You think in Einstein, he's a brilliant man, fucking genius of his age, fucking smart as hell, top of the food chain, super, super, super smart. He's a good example of this. Really is a good example of this. And with that, it was brilliant. He was all in on his work. That's all he did. He was passionate about it. His life was dedicated to his work. But his family dynamics, they weren't good. They were not good. He struggled with a lot of things. He would be an example of a neurodiverse person. Brilliant, but that brilliance comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. Socially, he wasn't very good. Anyway, moving on. But he found what he was good at, and he excelled at it. And we still, his work, obviously, E equals MC squared, amongst other things, and that he discovered. He was brilliant. Anyway, moving on. So healing and coping through this neurodiversity. Thirdly, structure and recovery. Neurodivergent brains thrive on balance. That was mentioned before. Sorry, I forget that. Zuki mentioned that before very well. A mix of stimulation and rest. I think we all need that though. It's like you're putting a lot of time and energy into your work, but we also need to we need to recover, don't we? We need to rest. It's good to have that stimulation. It's good to have that bit of pressure. It's good to brings out the best in us. It's good to put the work in, but you can't be on the go all the time. You can't burn the candle at both ends, can you? It's not sustainable, is it? It's not sustainable. Anyway, so let's carry on. So yeah, a mixture of stimulation and rest. That's going to help people who are neurodivergent and let's say the average person as well, to be very vague. We all need that bit of stimulation, a bit of rest, balance, of course. And lastly, last one is going to help with the healing and the coping is community, talking to people who get it. I like to think that this has been helpful with some people with regards to suffering from depression with linked to being neurodiverse. I think this is an example of this. This is a community here that people have commented on here today, and they've shared their experiences, they've shared their perspectives, their specific perspectives, and hopefully they felt like they've been heard. Hopefully they feel like they've been understood. At least partly understood, and then that makes them feel like, oh, other people get where I'm coming from. They understand where I'm coming from. I feel heard. I feel understood. That's a good thing to help with the healing and coping with regards to this. It reminds you that you're not on your own. You're not on your own. I bet you a lot of people that have got ADHD or autism have felt like they're on their own for a lot of their lives, so, and other people as well, just because you think differently. So I'll ask you a question to the group, and then I'm gonna have a little bit of a chill myself. What helps you feel grounded? Mentally grounded, let's say. Brilliant, it's work, that's great. What helps you to feel mentally grounded? I'm going to have a little rest a moment. I'll leave the question up there. A sip of water, of course. What can help you feel mentally grounded? Let me ask that question, answer that question. Walking nature can help you feel mentally grounded. Time away, sharing your day with somebody, sharing your day with someone, like just talking about your day, just having, just having someone to listen to you for at least 5-10 minutes. You don't want to be overbearing to them, of course. I think you can overdo it sometimes. Imagine you've been at work all day and you want to share, you've had a shit day. I think maybe have half an hour speaking about it with someone that's going to actually listen to you. But then after that, hopefully come away from it, because I think you can overburden others as well with your problems sometimes, I think. And I get sometimes people need to share things, but I think you should have a set amount of time to do that and then move on, ideally. Sharing problems. Problem shared is problem halved. Always, man. Always. As long as it's with the right people. If it's with the wrong people, they'll use that against you potentially. But if you've got someone that you can do that with, you're very lucky. Look after them, the types of people. Sometimes walking in nature can. I'm paraphrasing Dawn here, who's been on here before. Said she likes to just be in nature, barefooted on the grass, and just to be in nature, to be in the calm, just to be around nature. It energizes you, doesn't it? It charges you. That's potentially another way that you could help with that. Jenna's said, hi Jenna, right, we see, maybe a good support group. Yes, finding a local support group in your area, if there is any, that can help as well. Or finding people that have got similar experiences to yourself. I think a lot sometimes as well as, like, let's say autistic people. I've worked with autistic people a lot, by the way, and there's some of them that have traits where I work, and some of them, they just don't communicate, they don't talk, they hardly talk, they're just answering yes or no answers really vaguely. I bet it's hard for them to open up, actually. That's another topic in itself, but anyway. But yes, Jenna, sorry, trying to speak now. A good support group would be helpful, of course. And having people that have experienced it themselves. And being mentally grounded, I'm trying to think of other ways. It's also having that ability to think, do you know what? It's like not taking work home with you, for instance, and just stepping away from it and putting it to one side, forgetting about it, watching some series, brain dead series, switching off, watching a movie that's silly, watching Dumb and Dumber, for example, funny movie, just laughing, not taking everything so seriously all the time, not worrying about things as much. Easy said than done sometimes, of course. Life shouldn't always be serious all the time. It's good to be serious about things at the right time, of course. But sometimes you just don't take yourself too seriously, man. That's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I'm going to move on. So, what am I moving on to now? Let's go. So, if you can take one thing from this live, then let it be this. You are not broken, man. We're all a bit fucked up. We're all a bit broken. Of course, well, we're not completely broken, though. You're not less if you're different. You're not less. You're not. You're fucking not. You've got skills and abilities. Maybe not everyone can see that in you, but so what? Always believe in yourself. Always. The world just wasn't designed with every type of brain in mind. No, it wasn't. Not in this world that we live in. Capitalism that we live in, let's say, in the West. But that doesn't mean that you don't belong here. We all belong here. We all have different skills and strengths, don't we? Depression can thrive in isolation. That's when it does best. Not that you want that, but depression can thrive in isolation and misunderstanding, feeling misunderstood. So let's keep these conversations open, honest, and stigma-free. That's what we're trying to achieve here today. I think that's what we have achieved here today. And if this topic has hit home, share it or drop a comment after the live. You never know who might need to hear this too. You might never know who might need to hear this too. So that is I'm going to do an open chat for a little while, see if anyone wants to speak about anything. And then, so that's the end of the chat on the open chat. I like to just end with that, if it lets me do it. Yes, there we go. Open chat. Okay. So I'm going to just winding down now. I've spoke about neurodiversity. I'll probably cover that again at some point. If anyone's got any suggestions or ideas about what you want me to talk about in the future, then please just share it. Just comment on one of the videos or comment on the community. If you've subscribed, then go to the community part of my channel and then just type in some suggestions if you want to. I've explained things the best I can, but I don't know everything about this, if I'm honest. But thank you for sharing your perspectives. Zuki says, just wanted to say thank you, Brad. You really appreciate the time, effort, and energy put into these. Love and respect. Thanks, Zuki. Thanks for the suggestion, Zuki. You've got a great idea. Thanks for giving me the idea to talk about it. I'm glad that I've listened to your suggestion as well, acted on it. Yeah, I do my best. I put as much energy and time into this as I can. I prepare for it the best I can, and I try to communicate it the best I can. I try my best, yes, of course. Thank you, Zuki. I appreciate the love and respect. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm glad we've covered that topic. It's a really interesting topic, very specific topic as well. Maybe these things don't get talked about enough. So I'm just doing an open chat now, going with the flow a little bit. In my lives as well, I have a topic, but I let the collective consciousness, which is you guys as well, the comments, I let them dictate the flow of the conversation as well. I think that's a good way of doing things. Jenna's saying mental health, self-love, and healing ourselves so we can be successful. Yeah, so you can deal with life, Jenna, as well. The harshness of life. Life can be great as well, don't get me wrong. And healing yourself isn't always linear, is it? It's not always a straight line. Like, oh, I'm healing, it's really nice, this little climb, it's going steadily, it's going perfectly. It's like, sometimes you think, oh, I'm doing really well, and then boom, it's like, fuck. And you feel like you've learned nothing sometimes. Some days are horrible. It feels like you're getting nowhere some days. But I think it's a rocky road. That's what I'm trying to say with regards to self-healing, self-love and self-healing. Sometimes it can be a very long process. Sometimes it could be a lifelong process. But yes, it's going to help you become successful. Yes, it's needed. I can't always have these conversations within my workplace, within my family dynamics, always. Luckily, I've got a partner. She's very understanding. I can talk to her about these things. That's why we're together. That's why we're together, absolutely. One of the key parts of why we're together. That helps. Yeah, I've got that person. But overall, like a lot of people I don't have these types of conversations with, because it's just the environment and the consciousness level isn't there from them. It's just not there. This is why I love doing this. This is why I love doing this. I'm not always going to do the same topics either, because they say to talk about a channel, they say the advice is find a niche and stick to the niche. But I stick to a specific niche of self-improvement, but it's quite broad. I like to talk about different things. I think it keeps it more interesting. I think I personally get bored if all I talked about was depression. It's interesting, depression, don't get me wrong, it needs to be covered. It's important, but I don't want to talk about depression every single video and that's it. That would just be, one, it'd be boring, two, it'd be depressing, forgive the pun. I think it's good to talk about the variety of things. Anyway, that's my insight. And if I was only talking about one thing all the time, I wouldn't be able to keep doing this. I'd get bored. I would. Anyway, so Zuki's saying, this is just an open chat, of course, so we're going with the flow here. Zuki's saying, and working through mental health has helped me learn more about myself too. Finding the roots for some behaviours, reactions from now, tracing them back is hard, but potentially it's very rewarding work. Yep, absolutely, very wise words there, Zuki. I'm trying to break it down a little bit. Working through mental health has helped me learn more about myself. Yep. It's finding those roots can be difficult as well. It can be difficult finding the roots, you know. And I get triggered by really, really, really bossy, controlling people. And I know a lot of people probably do too. But it fucking pisses me off. And maybe deeper than some other people. And obviously there's a good reason for that, because this could be a micromanaging Hitler type of person. They're just overbearing, bossy people, and they're annoying, of course. However, the shadow work, the root cause of it is, why am I getting so bothered? If I was more at peace and more confident in myself in that situation, then I wouldn't be as bothered by that person. So sometimes when you get mad at others, not always, like some people are just horrible and they're nasty, and it's okay to be annoyed at them. It's understandable to be annoyed at them. It's understandable to feel aggrieved by those people. Sometimes there's a lesson in there yourself. So this is in regards to shadow work. I'm changing topic a little bit. I'm thinking about the roots that Zuki's just mentioned, the root cause. Like, why am I so mad about these angry people, aggressively assertive people? Maybe it's because I'm not assertive enough in my life. And if I was more healthily assertive, potentially, then I wouldn't feel as annoyed. That's an example of where the root cause of your behaviours can be. That's kind of in line with shadow work, embracing your shadow self. Anyway, tracing them back is hard, Zuki's saying. Yes, it's hard. It's painful. Are you going to be really, really honest with yourself? Are you going to dissect why you're thinking and feeling and behaving certain ways? Sometimes these are hard lessons. Sometimes, a lot of the time, we ignore those things. But potentially it's very rewarding work. Yep, it can be. For an example, let me try and think. I get annoyed at really, really boss people. I do. I have done in the past, let's say. And what I've been working on recently is, if I was a bit more assertive in certain situations, then might not be as annoyed at them. I might not be as annoyed at them. Maybe that's a weakness in myself that I need to work on. That's just an example of that. And maybe that was rooted to not feeling control when I was younger. A lot of it comes from childhood, doesn't it? Maybe I felt like I didn't have a voice when I was younger. Maybe I was told to shut up, get on with it. Children should be seen, not heard. That type of thinking. That probably led to me lacking assertion, let's say. Do what you're told, shut up. Basically, as a kid, love my mum and dad, don't get me wrong. Absolutely, done a lot of good things, but things aren't always perfect. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent there. But if you work on yourself, it's hard and it is going to be rewarding. Absolutely, it is. Pandora's box, innit? Pandora's box. What's Pandora's box? It's where all your insecurities and fears are. And we bury them deeply. We ignore them deeply a lot of the time. But if you open up Pandora's box, it's going to be very ugly, and all of them, it's going to be ugly, it's going to be painful, but that's where the rewards are. So anyway, that's that. So anyway, I'm going to keep talking. I've got to keep talking, of course, the best I can. This is an open chat. If anyone wants to talk about anything else, just bring up any topics, but I'll keep going. Anyway, this week, what have I been doing? Recently, I go to the gym, I do weights, I do circuit training. I've always been a very active person. Anyway, I've got, I went to the physio last week, and I've got basically weakness in my tendons there. Therefore, when you pick up a jug, I can feel like pain in my elbow, which would indicate potentially tennis elbow, but it's also linked to the clavicle, which is the back of the shoulder there, kind of thing. Not clavicle. Showing my, oh God, I'm an idiot sometimes. I'm going to go, keep it simple, Brad. Oh my God. It's the back of my shoulder, basically there. Clavicle's there, isn't it, at the front? I'm getting the words wrong. Rotator cuff, your rotator cuff, the back of your shoulder. That's weak there, and then it transfers down here and into my hand sometimes. Anyway, I'm doing rehabilitation exercises, meaning I've got to go to the gym more often. This is not always me, it's just sharing my recent things, what been going on in my life, whatever. And it might sound boring, but there we go. So I've been going to the gym more often, working on rehabilitation exercises, which are really important. It can prevent you from going to have surgery. I don't want to have surgery. I want to fix myself. But you've got to have the discipline. You've got to have the consistency to achieve that. So therefore, if you're going to a physio, it'd be really helpful. They give you specific exercises to do to fix your problem. But it takes a lot of work. That's what I'm working on now. But that has led to me not doing so many lives this week. I've only done one live this week, which is happening as we speak. I'd like to have done more. I was going to do one yesterday, but didn't have the time. So anyway, apologies for that. Hopefully going forwards, I have to keep doing these rehabilitation exercises. Long story short, I have to do it. If I want to fix my body, I need to do it. Of course, I want to do that. Of course, I'm going to achieve that. It's going to take time though. That means that, sorry, get the words out. I think I'm going to start doing Saturday, Sunday lives. Mostly mornings. I think that's it. I do the Sundays. I'm going to start doing the Saturday, Sunday mornings because that's when I'm off work. Anyway, I'll let me go back to Zuki. Anyway, Zuki's saying, I miss going to the gym. That kind of active meditation was very helpful. But with some spine issues, it's kept you away. Hoping to get back to it someday. I hope you do too. Hopefully you do, Zuki. I'm sorry to hear about your back issues. What specific back issues do you have? If you don't feel pressured to share if you don't want to, by the way. Going to the gym, it just makes you feel good. You get a dopamine kick. I go to the gym because it makes me feel good. I have energy as well that I need to expend. And it just makes me feel so good. But you've got to adapt based on your body. And like, as you get older, things give. Your body aches and pains of life. Basically, physically, I'm talking about now. I'm sorry about your spine issues. That can be very complex. I'm sure that can be bloody painful as well. I hope that you get back to it as well, Zuki, at some point. I think it's always good to try and do something, adapt as best you can, basically, with regards to that. Oh, you've got degenerative disc disease with some straightening of the... Wow. You've got degenerative disc disease with some straightening of the natural spine curvature in lumbar cervical area. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, Zuki. Have you had an operation or anything? There's the question. I'm just going quiet for a moment. And for it to be like, And for it to be like this from my early 20s, 25, you're 25 now. Very wise, you're very, very wise, Zuki. You're 25 now, God, you're very, very wise, you know. Especially for your age. Really wise. The doctor said it's an unusual amount of wear and tear given my age, and I don't do extreme work, so the discs are worn down. Are you going to have a microdiscectomy or a decompression? No operation yet. I hope you don't have to go to operate. I hope they don't need to operate on you, by the way. I hope just trying to get through, cope on painkillers alone, surgery isn't yet a discussion. Have you had steroid injections to the area then? To the disc, let's say, or whatever it is. I hope that you don't need to have operations, okay? Operations can be, I think that's the final stage, really, when nothing else works. I think yoga can help, stretching can help, Pilates can help. Obviously, refer to a professional, though, with regards to that before you do anything, of course, Suki. I'm sure you already know that. I'd never give anyone advice on here, just do this or do that. I'm not going to do that on here because I think you need to be seen personally by a professional, a medical professional, before you decide to do any type of exercise or treatments. So Suki said, I haven't known. I think medical professionals have assumed that given my age, it can't be that bad. It's frustrating because there's been no real plan for help. Not easy, Suki. Sometimes operations, because I scrub for orthopedic spines and neurological spines. I scrub for those cases when they do operations, basically decompressions and fusions and etc., where they're putting nails and screws into the spine, amongst other things. I've scrubbed so many of these cases, by the way, Zuki. Not that I'm the medical professional here. I'm just a nurse in the situation. They're the ones that know a lot more than I do, for God's sake. Sometimes they don't bother because there's no. Sometimes they don't do it because there's a big chance that there's not going to be any benefits from it. Some operations aren't done because it's not possible to. But people suffer with the pain, man. So you've not had any injections yet. Could a steroid injection help? Maybe. Sorry, I don't know enough to. I'm just giving suggestions here, of course. That's all I'm doing here because I don't want to give the wrong advice. I really don't. Zuki, you've had to advocate for yourself so much. Yes, you have to. You have to fight for everything. You've really got to fight it. It's so hard, especially now with the NHS Titanic, basically. NHS Titanic, Zuki. It's falling apart a bit. The country's falling apart as well. And that, in line with that, it's hard to get on the waiting list. It's hard to get seen properly. It's hard to have, you've got to fight, basically. I was told things like it was just anxiety. Fucking hell, Zuki, yep. That sounds annoying. Or implying that I'm playing up with my symptoms. All right, you're faking it. No. You say, no, I'm not faking it. I'm in extreme pain and I want seeing. Just say, tell them. You tell them. You've got to therefore be your own advocate for this. You've really got to fight for everything now, more than you ever have had to. They want to give you the easy answer and then just brush you off. I'm not saying that's right, but that's what happens a lot. Get some rest, take some paracetamol. It's like, no. Do some breathing work. Like, no, I mean, my back's sore. My nerves are being compressed. They're sore. Like, breathing's not going to take that away. Maybe sometimes that might take it away, but not often it won't. And had I not persevered, I would have dropped off the radar entirely. Yes, you would, Zuki, yeah. That's harsh, isn't it? All they're going to do, 5-minute GP consultation, quick meeting with you, and that's it. I've been to the GP at one point and I had loads of questions and he just brushed me off. He didn't have time for me. It's difficult. So you can say, I'll ask about steroid injections, but yes, it's a solid idea to discuss steroid injections. Definitely. I'm not going to say definitely, Zuki, because I'm not the medical professional here. I want to be wise, but I think steroid injections, because they're only quick. They're only quick when you're in there. They take 10, 15 minutes most of the time, depending on the surgeon, depending on your physiology, of course. But I think steroid injections can be a potential solution. Fight for it. But of course, do some research. Of course, get the best advice as well with regards to that. Especially when they just remove you from waiting list referrals with no notice. Shit. It's shit. Sorry, Zuki, but it is shit. Zuki saying it impacts my breathing greatly, unfortunately. I think it's the spinal issues that have caused instability, weakness in those breathing muscles. Yeah, and your diaphragm. Doesn't sound nice. To be honest, at this point, if someone said eating gravel, I'll probably try it. Yeah, eat some gravel, Zuki. No, don't. That'd be awful. I really do believe that the steroid injections can help. Have you tried? God, I'm chucking some vague things. Have you tried Pilates? Can you do Pilates? Can you stretch? Can you do yoga? Things like that. Chiropractor, maybe. Is that going to help? I'm thinking outside the box here. Again, don't jump on any of these before you've got medical advice before you do so. And sometimes you've got to sell it. You've got to sell it, haven't you? I suppose you've got to fight your corner. You've got to be your own advocate. Like you've already said, you've got to say, "Look, I'm in fucking pain here. Sort it now. I'm not waiting. I want this now." You've got to be demanding. You've got to fight your corner. You've got to take no for an answer. Saying, I want this done now. I want this seen to now. And I suppose it's getting that referral and getting on the waiting list. So I'm sure you tried everything here. As you can see, I've gone through like 5+ orthopedic pillows, new orthopedic mattress, massages. Wow, you've done a lot. Sensory deprivation tanks. Now on my 7th type of painkiller, tramadol. It's strong, isn't it, tramadol? Thinking of some homeopathic treatments like acupuncture or something. Chiropractor, maybe. Steroid injections. Sorry about the noise in the background. Sounds like an ambulance in the background on that note. I think steroid injections can help. I think it will give you some temporary relief potentially. When you have the operation, it can hurt though, of course, because they're putting a needle in your back. But they've got to find the specific point. They've got to get the right point to apply the steroid. So you're gonna feel a short pain. You're gonna feel pain when you have that operation because you'll be awake while it happens. But it can be helpful. It can give you some relief, those steroid injections. It's just getting the referrals. Just say to the GP, I want a referral. I want a referral. I want to be referred. I want to be referred. Take no for an answer. I'm not going until you refer me. Fucking fight your corner. I'm sure, as I'm sure you know, Zuki. Anything that can take the pain away, even if it's just for momentarily, can be a help. Steroid injections, so sometimes they can work. Sometimes they don't work. There's no guarantee. Sometimes it gives just a few months relief at the very least, but it's better than nothing. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call it a day. I hope that you find a solution to your problems, Zuki. I really do. I'm sorry that you're suffering in that way. It's not nice. I'm going to call it a day. I've been going for 3 hours. Thank you for anyone that's joined, by the way. I will be live again. Hopefully, I'm definitely... Zuki says, thank you, Brad. Appreciate you. I appreciate you as well, Zuki. Love and respect back to you, of course. You take care. Yeah, Take care and have a good day out. You have a good day as well. I'm going to be live on Saturday next week in the morning. I'm going to be live on Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know what the topics are going to be yet. I need to decide. If you've got any suggestions, then please share on the community section of my page of my YouTube channel. If you've got any suggestions, then please share, and I'll bear them in mind, of course. But thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And keep sending out that love and respect to others, but don't take any shit. Don't take any shit. Thank you for anyone that's watched. Thank you to anyone that's shared. Thank you for anyone that's commented. I really appreciate your contributions. They've been very beneficial and helpful, not just to me, but to everybody else out there. So that's it. So that's it. So thank you for your time, and goodbye.